Bienvenue pour la session 14 juin, ça c'est le deuxième jour débat sur les différents mondes participation présentation Premier ministre Antoine Philippe qui est aussi ministre qui est responsable des affaires de finances, qui a présenté le budget pour l'année 2026 et 2027 en mardi semaine en valeur 10,89 billions de dollars. Ici, moi ici avec nous, c'est Shelton Daniel. Shelton, bienvenue.
Thank you very much, Michael. Good morning to you and good morning to all our listeners and viewers, not just on the national television network, NTN, which at least on the Flow Cable TV service is available on channel 122. What are the channels there?
Aussi, sur ça c'est station radio, dans le cas de Lucia FM, à sous fréquence 97.3.
97.3.
FM.
Oui.
97.3, c'est Lucia FM. Pour le monde qui a écouté à ce radio, ça joint nous à ce fréquence là, qui a dit exact tout ça qui a passé en qualité nous là.
Okay. So we appreciate your being with us on day 2, which is the second and final day, it is scheduled to be, of the debates on the 2026-2027 Appropriation Bill. And we know that yesterday we had up to 9 members making their contributions. So as it goes, so we had 9 members making their contributions, and 7 other members are due to make theirs today, and then we will have the rebuttal, the final summing up by the Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, who was the one who presented the appropriation bill. And so we won't count him as among the others. We had 9, and if we consider 9 and 8 is 17, that would mean everybody, but we are saying 9 and 7, which would be 16, and then the Prime Minister. So the 16 who would speak would include, if he does so choose, Honorable Alan Chasney, the MP for Miko South, and also the leader of the opposition, who rejoined the House fairly late, just a few minutes before the wrap-up, which took place last night. Well, we say the wrap-up, but there was, of course, the House being adjourned, was it, until suspended, that was.
Quand nous avons préparé Shelton, nous avons un petit problème technique là, mais changer le monde qui a écouté nous, ça a écouté nous à sur radio, à sur Saint Lucia FM 97.3 FM, à sur radio.
Yeah, present our speaker, the speaker is entering the chamber behind the sergeant at arms who's carrying the mace and about to put it in position. And we will soon know who the first speaker for today's debate is going to be.
Let us pray. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Almighty God, by whom alone He reigns and reigns with justice, and from whom alone comes all counsel, wisdom, and understanding. With thine unholy servants we gather together in thy name, the most humbly to send down thy heavenly wisdom from above, to direct and guide us in all our consultations, and grant that we, having thy fear always before our eyes, and laying aside all private interest, prejudice, and partial affections, the result of all our counsel may be to the glory of thy blessed name, the maintenance of true religion and justice, the safety, honor, and happiness of the King, the public will, peace, and tranquility of St. Lucia, and the uniting and knitting together of the hearts of all persons and estates within the same, in true Christian love and charity one towards another. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, and the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Ghost be with us all evermore. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Good morning, members. I almost didn't come upstairs because I could have sworn there was a first coming of the speaker before I arrived. Honorable members, when we rose last night, the question before us was that the Appropriation Bill 2026-2027 be read a second time. Member for Miku North.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise this morning to offer my unwavering support to the appropriation bill presented by the Prime Minister on Tuesday evening. In the Prime Minister's conclusion, Mr. Speaker, to his appropriation presentation on Tuesday, he declared, and I quote, "The men and women on this side pledge to work together to make our island, St. Lucia, the best place to live and work in the region." End of quote. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister doesn't just say these words because he wants to be applauded. He says these words because it is a declaration of intent. They are a signal of leadership that recognizes a simple but very powerful truth. No nation is built by one individual standing alone, but by a collective, disciplined, focused, and united in purpose. And Mr. Speaker, even beyond the words, the Prime Minister's actions have consistently reflected that philosophy. Leadership is not merely what is said in this honorable House. It is what is demonstrated in moments both big and small. And from the composition of his cabinet to the very imagery presented to the people of this country during the last election campaign, there was a very clear message. A message saying that this is a team effort. This is a government of shared responsibility. This is a government that understands that progress is not a solo performance, but a coordinated undertaking. Contrast that, Mr. Speaker, with the opposition and with their view of leadership. They believe in a style of leadership that elevates the individual above the collective. They believe in a style of leadership that suggests governance is a stage for a single star rather than a platform for national service. And on December 1st, 2025, the electorate, in its wisdom, Mr. Speaker, made a judgment on that approach. And the outcome, Mr. Speaker, it speaks for itself. One man on the front page of a manifesto, one man in a house, seldomly in the house, whereas on the other hand, you saw a leader and his team on the front page of the manifesto. And if you look around this honorable House today and you look at the composition, Mr. Speaker, you would realize that this House is composed of a leader and his team. But today is not about personalities. That has been dealt with by the people of St. Lucia. And they have chosen who their preferred personality is. And they have done it in grand style, Mr. Speaker, in a 16-1 type of style. Mr. Speaker, today is about purpose. It is about people. and it is about the direction in which we are taking this country. And though the geopolitical situation is one which warrants concerns, it is one of uncertainty. We really do not know what to expect tomorrow. But with a leader like Philip Joseph Pierre, Mr. Speaker, I have full confidence that we will successfully navigate these uncertain times. Because when we speak about making St. Lucia the best place to live and work in this region, we are not just engaging in an empty rhetoric. We are speaking about safer communities in Dennery North to be exact, Mr. Speaker, in Micoud, in Vieux Fort, in the Bacadère, in the Mang, in Castries South, Fouacho North, and in every corner of this nation. We are speaking about opportunities for our young people so that they are not drawn into crime. But instead, Mr. Speaker, drawn into productivity, into innovation, and drawn into hope. We are speaking about systems that protect the vulnerable, uplift the marginalized, and ensure that no St. Lucian, absolutely no St. Lucian, is left behind. Mr. Speaker, as the Minister responsible for Home Affairs, Crime Prevention, Conflict Resolution, and Persons with Disability, I stand here this morning acutely aware that my ministry sits at the heart of this national mission. Because safety is not just the absence of crime, it is the presence of opportunity. It is the presence of justice, it is the presence of inclusion. And after listening to the Prime Minister lay down the 6 pillars upon which the foundation of this appropriation bill was built, one has no choice but to agree that opportunity, justice, and inclusion were given due consideration in the process. And so, Mr. Speaker, the work of my ministry is not confined to reacting to crime after it happens. It is about trying to prevent it before it actually begins. It is about addressing the root causes: poverty, lack of opportunity, social dislocation, and unresolved conflict. It is about building systems that intervene early, supports families, and redirect lives. Mr. Speaker, this appropriation bill does all of this. And Mr. Speaker, as I go further into my presentation, you will see what it is that I'm talking about. It is also about dignity. Because when we speak about making St. Lucia the best place to live, we must mean for all St. Lucians. That includes persons living with disabilities, individuals who for too long have been overlooked, underserved, and in some instances, forgotten. This government, Mr. Speaker, rejects that approach. We believe in inclusion not as a slogan, but as a standard. Mr. Speaker, I come to this honorable house not only as a Minister for Home Affairs and Crime Prevention, but also as someone who has served on the front line of law enforcement. I have seen firsthand the consequences of crime. I have seen the pain of victims. I have seen the frustration of communities. And only yesterday, when I listened to the presentation from the member from Dennery South, Mr. Speaker, I heard him make mention of a tragic incident where there was a homicide. Someone from his constituency was murdered a few days ago, Mr. Speaker. But I have also seen the potential for transformation when the right policies, the right investment, and the right leadership comes together. And that, Mr. Speaker, is what this appropriation bill presents. It is not merely a bill tabled for debate, but the truth is, it is a blueprint for national development. It is a statement of priorities. It is a reflection of our values as a government and as a people. So when we speak about working together, we mean it. When we speak about building a safer St. Lucia, we are committed to it. And when we speak about making this country the best place to live and work in this region, Mr. Speaker, we are prepared to do the hard work necessary to achieve it. Because at the end of the day, this is not about those of us in the chamber, Mr. Speaker. It is about that single mother who's trying to provide for her children. It's about that young man who is at risk of making wrong choices. And it is about that elderly citizen in Soufrière who deserves to feel safer in their home. It is about the person with a disability who deserves equal access, equal opportunity, and equal respect. Mr. Speaker, I will now go into the part of my ministry that deals with crime prevention. And crime prevention is often misunderstood, Mr. Speaker. And when you hear the conversations that surround crime prevention in this country, most times it's a conversation that surrounds what the police should be doing. But if we are to be honest with ourselves, and more importantly, if we are to be effective, we must accept that policing alone cannot solve crime. Policing most times responds to crime, Mr. Speaker. But prevention requires something far deeper. It requires a system that works. Mr. Speaker, as part of my ministry's mandate, the Honorable Prime Minister has tasked us to advance a comprehensive crime prevention strategy, one that moves beyond reactive enforcement to a more modern framework grounded in prevention, rehabilitation, and institutional strengthening. Today, I can report to this Honorable House that we are well on our way. We are privileged to have with us in the chamber this morning Dr. Montel Felix and Dr. Leonard Johnny. Mr. Speaker, these are the research consultants supporting the ministry with this national policy. Both are former police officers. Well, I think Dr. Montel Felix is not a former police officer. He's still a police officer, but he has been transferred to the Ministry of Crime Prevention to assist the ministry in meeting its mandate. And both of them are academically grounded, and both of them understand, Mr. Speaker, crime not just from the front lines, but from a systems perspective. And their work reflects a critical shift in thinking. And Mr. Speaker, I must say, whilst I'm on this point, when we brought in the two consultants into the ministry, it really warmed my heart, because what it did was show that we place trust and belief in our own people. We trust our people to provide the solutions for us moving forward. We do not need to bring any outside agency or outside person to come down here to solve our problems for us. And this is a philosophy rooted in the St. Lucia Labour Party, to trust your own. And Mr. Speaker, you see that type of attitude reflected in everything that we do, from the putting together of the budget. We trust our own people to do it for us, whereas when other people had an opportunity, they felt it was necessary to bring others down. They placed their trust and confidence in outside agencies and foreigners to prepare the budget for us. But it just shows you, Mr. Speaker, that we as a government, we believe in the strength and resilience of our own. Mr. Speaker, one of the most important conclusions from the draft policy is that crime in St. Lucia is not simply a series of isolated acts. It is the outcome of how well or how poorly our systems function together. And the telling word there is systems function together, Mr. Speaker. It is multidimensional, it is complex, and it is system-driven. And therefore, it cannot be addressed through fragmented, reactive enforcement-only approaches. Mr. Speaker, the issue we face today is not one that says there is lack of effort. It is not an issue that says that there is a lack of commitment. But what we have is a lack of alignment, the lack of coordination, and a lack of systems integration. The institutions exist, the programs exist, the will exists, but when these elements operate, in one of the Prime Minister's favorite words, in silos, Mr. Speaker, then what we have is a weakened impact. This is not fundamentally a capacity problem, but rather a coordination problem. Mr. Speaker, if we are serious about crime prevention, we must widen our lens. We must understand the role of social institutions, the family. And sometimes, Mr. Speaker, we are afraid to speak about the social institutions and the role that they play in socializing the people around us. And it's easy to point fingers at governments and agencies and say that the police is not doing what they're supposed to do, easily to pass blame, easy to pass the buck, Mr. Speaker, and to say it's a particular agency, a government agency, that is not doing what it's supposed to do. But we must understand the role that social institutions play, Mr. Speaker. The family is where values and disciplines are first taught. The school where minds are shaped and futures are built. We have the churches and community, and even in my days growing up, Mr. Speaker, the church played a very important role, a very, very important role. And I attribute part of the man that I am today, Mr. Speaker, to me attending church on a regular basis. I think I qualify as a devout Catholic, and sometimes Adventist by association, Mr. Speaker. And somebody's asking, was it formula that caused me to qualify? Mr. Speaker, I'm still a churchgoer, and I'm a deep believer in God and the things of God and the faithful practices. Yes, Mr. Speaker. But the church and community, Mr. Speaker, is where moral guidance is reinforced. And the government creates the systems and structures that hold society together. When these pillars are strong, society is stable. But when they weaken, Mr. Speaker, disorder finds space to grow. Let us be clear. This is not about blaming individuals, but it is about recognizing that when system fails, when people are left feeling vulnerable. And when vulnerability increases, so too does the likelihood of crime. So, Mr. Speaker, the Appropriation Bill reflects a deliberate and strategic shift, one that says that we need to move from reaction and get into prevention. One that says that we need to move from the fragmented approach and have an integrated approach. One that says, Mr. Speaker, that we need to move away from the short-term responses, though they have their place, but we need to start to consider more long-term transformation. Mr. Speaker, I'll now highlight some of the key investments and programs that support this type of approach. And you can find all of these in the Appropriation Bill. Mr. Speaker, when we speak about strengthening families and education, we know from data supported by analysis between 2014 and 2024, and saying about the data, Mr. Speaker, I can tell you that as it relates to the crime prevention policy, yesterday I saw the member for Beaufort South waving and brandishing his early childhood curriculum in this honorable house, Mr. Speaker. I can tell you that yes, I have mine too. The consultants within the ministry, Mr. Speaker, have been working, and they would have analyzed data, crime data, from 2014 to 2024. And what they picked up, Mr. Speaker, is that many individuals, the majority of individuals who are involved in crime and criminality and violent behavior, were indeed school dropouts. So the question becomes, how do we intervene earlier? And for this budget, for this appropriation, Mr. Speaker, we have put together a national school retention and engagement program, which will be implemented. Mr. Speaker, the idea is to be able to have early identification systems for at-risk youth, and then provide them with technical and vocational pathways where necessary. Mr. Speaker, you would have heard the Minister of Education also speak about the addition of school counselors, because although keeping a child in school does not guarantee success, what it does, Mr. Speaker, is that it significantly reduces the likelihood of failure. Mr. Speaker, when it comes to providing safe spaces and structured development, we have gone further in this year's appropriation bill to ensure that we expand the after-school program through the Ministry of Equity. And what this would do, it would provide young people with a structured environment during critical hours. We are also increasing investment in Youth and Sports Council programs, Mr. Speaker. The Cadet Corps, you would have heard the Prime Minister make mention of further investment in the Cadet Corps. Community-based organizations are also down to receive assistance. And Mr. Speaker, these are not just recreational luxuries. These are indeed crime prevention tools. What they do, Mr. Speaker, is they build discipline, they build belonging, and they give individuals a sense of purpose. Mr. Speaker, we understand that when there is limited opportunity, crime thrives. So we are providing more economic opportunities for our young people. A person without an opportunity, a young person without an opportunity, is indeed a young person at risk. The expansion of the Youth Economy Program addresses this directly, Mr. Speaker. And we realize the impact of the youth economy program. Only yesterday, whilst I was at the barber shop, a gentleman said he has never received anything from the government, but today he stands proud because he has his own business for the first time in his life. He's a 32-year-old. He received a grant from the Youth Economy Agency, which has allowed him to start up his own business, and today he boasts a thriving business, Mr. Speaker. So it shows you the impact of the youth economy when it comes to providing opportunities for young people. Nearly 2,500 young people were supported through grants. Mr. Speaker, apart from just providing grants, we understand the importance of capacity building. Over 1,200 young men and women were trained under this program. And some required more than just training. So you had just a little over 100 young people being engaged in structured mentorship. Mr. Speaker, this is a crime prevention policy. Mr. Speaker, and we also have to, when we think of crime prevention, we also have to think of the role of the justice system. And an effective justice system is one of the strongest deterrents to crime. Justice must not only be done, it must be seen to be done swiftly and fairly. That is why this government has invested in the Northern Divisional Headquarters, the halls of justice, and also dedicated backlog courts, Mr. Speaker. Because delay in justice only has one consequence. It erodes the public trust in the system. And when trust erodes, Mr. Speaker, cooperation declines. Mr. Speaker, rehabilitation and reintegration also plays a critical role in terms of crime prevention. And even when we have established the best systems, some individuals will still fall through the cracks. But incarceration must not be the end of the road. And without support, former inmates face stigma, they face limited employment opportunities, and weak social support systems. And this leads to reoffending. That is why we are implementing, and I must commend Mr. Chris Felix and the Bodley Correctional Facility. I must also commend the staff from Probation and Parole, because what we have done, Mr. Speaker, we have implemented a structured reintegration program in collaboration with SSDF and the Department of Probation. Because successful reintegration is a public safety policy. Mr. Speaker, I have spent some time expanding on crime prevention because it is critical that our nation understands this. Crime prevention is not a single agency responsibility. It is a whole of society effort. The role of the Department of Crime Prevention is therefore very clear, Mr. Speaker. And just for those who are unsure about what the role of the Department of Crime Prevention is, Mr. Speaker, the role of crime prevention is to coordinate, it is to align, it is to monitor, and it is to ensure that all sectors, law enforcement, education, social services, and communities are working towards common measurable outcomes. Mr. Speaker, the government has repositioned crime prevention as a core function of governance. It is now data-driven, it is coordinated, it is accountable, and it is continuously evaluated. And so, Mr. Speaker, this appropriation bill is not merely about funding programs, but it is about ensuring that we build a system that prevents crime before it happens. It's about creating a safer St. Lucia where families are supported, young people are engaged, institutions are strong, justice is efficient, and communities are safe. And Mr. Speaker, if we get this right, which I believe we will not only reduce crime, but we will transform the conditions that produce it. Mr. Speaker, I want to say just a little bit of what I said there in Creole, because in Micoud North, Mr. Speaker, I have a particular constituent called Precious. Most people know him as Aital, who says to me on a day-to-day basis, "Moi vle zo di se bagay sa pa toi." So le moi ale, moi sa di se moun ka ba parole, moi sa expliquer comment, moi sa di yo ki sa gouvernement moi ka fait. So, Mr. Speaker, I think it is important that those of us, because I'm sure not everyone here is as fortunate as myself and the member for Vieux-Fort North and Dennery North. I suspect, Mr. Speaker, it's a thing of the North, because Dennery North, Vieux-Fort North, Mico North, I don't know that I can use the adjective eloquent. Well, you're the only central, so there's no North there. So, but the member for Castries Central has said, Mr. Speaker, that he too can speak Creole, given the fact that he's from the community of Mico. But, Mr. Speaker, ça m'a voulu dire bon matin, c'est crime et puis prévention crime, c'est affaires nous toutes un pays ça là. Chaque nous avons parlé about crime et différents bagages nous avons fait pour empêcher crime un pays ça là. Chaque monde a l'idée que c'est seulement la police qui a une responsabilité pour faire bagages pour combattre crime un pays ça. Moi je voulais dire bon matin that nous pas ça continuer qu'à veiller situation crime là comme ça. Nous tous citoyens c'est ici, nous tous qui ni business c'est ici, nous tous qui ni l'école, ça qui aller la messe, tout le monde a une responsabilité. Une responsabilité peut être différente, mais nous tous avons différentes responsabilités. Nous vivons dans une société qui a une différence, nous avons créé une institution. Et ces institutions ça là, ils ont une responsabilité pour aider nous quand nous allons lever. So, regardez, aller l'école, à l'école, l'année expectation, aller l'école, il y a mucho bon messe, il y a mucho manière pour changer corps, il y a mucho, il y a éducation, et puis il y a un dos qu'on peut lever. En famille, a une responsabilité pour être guidé dans la manière qui est right, dans la manière qui est bon, il y a une responsabilité pour être manger, boire, couverti au tête tout sur la caille tout ça dedans et puis leur aller plus loin on a différentes agencies gouvernement a une responsabilité pour d'être mettre bagaille weg by jeunesse by tout le monde so yo ça joindre travail yo ça aller l'école yo ça vivre yo ka établir yo met police là so si monde casser si monde ka toi casser loi yo ça dit les pio as a gouvernement et ça nous voit en dedans appropriation bill ça là Mr. Speaker. C'est un gouvernement qui comprend que l'année chaque différents bagages qui ça contribué pour crime un pays ça là. Et nous avons mis combien différents bagages en place pour lui that nous ça combattre crime. So les nous ni monde qui avec là ni monde qui délai ou met tout système en place. Mais après mettre tous ces systèmes ça la place là still ni monde qui a tombé à sous côté à Mr. Speaker. Mais laissez moun ça tomber, laissez moun ça hen koyo la jol, nous voulons dire que la terre pas qu'à bout de bayo. Et puis c'est pour raison ça là, moi voulais crier à sous famille, moi voulais crier à sous même secteur privé pour dire que yo tout ni en responsabilité. Parce que chaque les nous ni moun qui aller la jol, nous comme société nous ca ces moun ça là et nous ca mettre à sous côté et nous ca crier toute qualité non, nous ca dire yo c'est JB la hall, nous ca dire toute qualité parole nous ca dire. C'est ce que je voulais dire, nous ni pour changer manière nous catcher. Nous ni pour changer manière nous traiter ces monde ça là. Il c'est pas nous tous ces monde avec l'année les nous faire nous joindre nous coupables et nous faire petit mistake avec les nous end up la hole. Mais quand nous parler Mr. Speaker, nous ni un programme un programme réhabilitation en dedans la jol. Et ça programme ça la qu'a fait c'est là venir là en l'argent là yo ka ba ou ça créer counseling yo ka mucho manière pour travail pour apprendre différents skills so à présent quand nous ka parler nous ni plusieurs monde en prison qui ça nous ka créer tailler yo ka tailler tailler nous ni plusieurs monde avec ces monde ça là qu'a fait tout hard by ces prisonniers et puis by ces monde qui travaillent so had là où député directeur ni Rodia had ça la fête par un Jean prison. So il y a mucho talent nous ni en dedans prison. Oui, n'a mettez affaires dehors. Nous ni plusieurs monde en dedans la jola Mr. Speaker qui a aidé l'église et puis l'autre institution pour faire caille, pour bâtir caille, by moun qui besoin. Et puis, about un mois qui passé, yo bâti 2-3 cailles by moun qui besoin. So, nous ni talent en prison. So, Mr. Speaker, nous voulons dire que les moun à la prison, la terre pas de bout, et travail ni pour continuer. Mr. Speaker, as part of this government's broader justice reform agenda, we have taken deliberate steps to transform our correctional system, particularly the Bodley Correctional Facility, from a place of mere confinement into a center for rehabilitation, reintegration, and human development. Mr. Speaker, if we are serious about crime prevention, we must equally be serious about what happens after conviction. A prison system that does not rehabilitate is simply operating a revolving door. Today I'm proud to report that the Bodley Correctional Facility is undergoing a fundamental shift in philosophy and in practice. This government has made significant investment to improve both the conditions and the outcomes at the facility. We have recently enhanced the medical unit, introducing consultation room and dental services. This means, Mr. Speaker, that inmates can now access care directly at the facility, reducing burden on external security and significantly cutting operational costs. Mr. Speaker, these are not just cosmetic changes. These are structural improvements that speak to dignity, efficiency, and long-term reform. Mr. Speaker, rehabilitation must be practical. It must equip individuals with real employable skills. And at the Bodley Correctional Facility, we have just started the chicken coop project. And I was told day before yesterday, I received a picture on my phone, Mr. Speaker, and I saw the arrival of several birds. So I can say today that the chicken coop project at the Bodley Correctional Facility is fully operational, and it will be producing both layers and broilers. The piggery has been expanded, and plans are well on the way to expand the rabbitry as well. We have introduced and expanded tailoring programs where inmates produce uniforms for both staff and fellow inmates. Basic electrical training is ongoing, and currently we have 2 cohorts of 20 inmates currently enrolled. And Mr. Speaker, the demand for the electrical program is more than what we can take right now. And from September, inmates will be receiving CVQ certification, making their skills regionally recognized. And Mr. Speaker, that is in preparation for when these individuals go out there, that they can be employable, that they can go out there and they can actually start a life. A lot of times, sometimes we have to stop or slow down in life to be able to attain certain skills that can help propel us moving forward. Mr. Speaker, aquaculture programs are on the way. We're working with the pond. We're just doing some finishing work on the pond at the prison. And I know that the apiculture, beekeeping, most of the females there are involved in apiculture, creating productive activity. And Mr. Speaker, these initiatives are more than just occupation. What we are doing is ensuring that we build empowerment and self-reliance. Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding all of what I said about building skills, we also understand that skills alone are not enough. We must also address behavioral trauma and mindset. And that is why we have established the anger management programs at the prison, cognitive behavioral therapy, and expanded counseling services. These interventions are critical in addressing the root cause of criminal behavior and reducing the likelihood of reoffending. Mr. Speaker, community reintegration and social responsibility. One of the most encouraging developments has been the success of our community reintegration program. And I must speak about our community reintegration program, Mr. Speaker, because it was a program funded previously by the USAID. And when the stop work order was placed, Prime Minister quickly jumped in and said he's going to continue funding this project, understanding the important role that reintegration plays in our society. So, Speaker, a few weeks ago, and you would have heard me in the House mention what happened when I went to the graduation of these inmates. We have inmates now, Mr. Speaker, who have their own business. We have inmates now who have been able to find jobs and are working. And what it says, Mr. Speaker, is if we place and we give the resources and we place the right people in the right places, we have a real opportunity to transform what happens as it relates to rehabilitation. So, Speaker, moving forward, at the Bodley Correctional Facility, it is our intention to scale up the vocational training programs, strengthen partnerships with private sector to secure employment opportunities for ex-offenders, and we also want to expand the rehabilitation initiatives aimed at reducing recidivism. Mr. Speaker, the transformation at the Bodley Correctional Facility represents a clear shift in national policy, from punishment alone to prevention through rehabilitation. Because every individual who we successfully integrate is one less victim, it is one less repeat offender, and it is one more productive citizen contributing to national development. And that is what real crime prevention looks like, Mr. Speaker. And this government is indeed delivering. Mr. Speaker, I will now move to another critical area under my watch. I have been given the responsibility for persons with disability. And that goes, and this appropriation bill, Mr. Speaker, after listening to the Prime Minister's delivery, this appropriation bill speaks to a matter that goes to the very heart of fairness, of dignity, and of national development. How we treat, support, and empower persons with disabilities in St. Lucia. Mr. Speaker, I will say this from the outset, that the government is serious about disability. Not in words alone, but in action, in investment, and in policy direction. I see the president for the NCPD smiling, Mr. Speaker, and he has every reason to smile this morning. I see him in the chamber with us this morning, Mr. Muffilas James. Mr. Speaker, as we speak, there is a growing number of persons with disability living in St. Lucia. And that reality demands a deliberate and sustained response. Disability is not a marginal issue, it is a national one. It touches families, touches communities, work, and every single sector of our society. And so, Mr. Speaker, as a government, we have taken a fundamental position. Persons with disability must be included in every aspect of national life. They are not to be seen as passive recipients of care, but as active contributors to development. They have talents, and I know they have talents, Mr. Speaker. They have skills. They have ideas that can help shape this nation. And it is our responsibility to remove the barriers that stand in their way. Mr. Speaker, this government has demonstrated its commitment by establishing a ministry with specific responsibility for disability affairs. And this is not symbolic. It was deliberate and it was strategic. It ensures that disability is not dealt with as an afterthought, but as a central consideration in governance. We are building the institutional framework necessary to deliver real change. So, Speaker, one of the most transformative initiatives currently under this establishment, underway, is the establishment of a national disability registry. And I want to, whilst I'm on the disability registry, I want to commend Mr. Muffilas James for the work that he has done with the ministry thus far. He has laid the groundwork required for us to go out there and really establish that registry. And what this registry, yes, and the member for the entering office shouting hydroponics. Muffilas James is synonymous with hydroponics. So much so that, Mr. Speaker, I realize that he has gone closer to his parliamentary rep, who is the Minister for Agriculture. But, Mr. Speaker, what this registry will do is, for the first time, it will assist us to gather accurate, reliable data on persons with disability across the island. It will also help guide policy, improve targeting of resources, and ensure that no one is left behind. Because, Mr. Speaker, when you plan effectively for people, you cannot, Mr. Speaker, you cannot plan effectively for people you cannot properly account for. And I know that because, Mr. Speaker, especially in times of disaster, we do not know, we do not have, we are not involved in geotagging of individuals here. So I remember a particular instance where I was a police officer and there was a hurricane. I think that was 2011. It was Thomas, I think, Mr. Speaker. And a particular resident was left home by himself. He has mobility issues, And because there was no geotagging done and there was no registry to say that we have X, Y, and Z persons with X, Y, and Z disabilities in the community, when everyone evacuated, he was left behind. And it was only when everyone was there, they was just like Home Alone asking, where is Kevin, where is Kevin, where is Kevin, Mr. Speaker? Then they realizing, look, we're missing one individual. And unfortunately, this individual could not come by himself. We had to go back and get them. So what does disability registry do? It will help us, Mr. Speaker, eliminate problems like these. In addition, work is well advanced on the establishment of a National Prosthetic Center. And I've been speaking about this sometime, Mr. Speaker. And for me, personally, Mr. Speaker, as a prosthetic user, yesterday I had my own little challenge here with my prosthetic. I can tell you about the importance of having a prosthetic center. And had the prosthetic center been commissioned already, I probably would just take a little drive, go across to Tapillon, Mr. Speaker, get a little modification done and come back to the house. But yesterday I had to leave the proceedings to go and check on my prosthetic. So, Mr. Speaker, when we establish this National Prosthetic Center, it's going to eliminate problems like this. The facility will be a game changer for many St. Lucians who require prosthetic limbs and related services. And I know that Mr. James himself can attest to that, Mr. Speaker, because part of feeling empowered as a person with a disability is when you have a prosthetic, Mr. Speaker, you feel empowered. Had I not had a prosthetic this morning, other arrangements would have to be made for me to be here today. So a prosthetic can really make you feel empowered. It can improve your dignity. It can improve your self-worth and just the way you think about yourself, Mr. Speaker. And for too long, individuals have had to endure significant costs and travel abroad to access these essential services. And sometimes we know that the NCPD have been trying their best, but sometimes they just are not in a position to be able to provide the type of prosthetic that someone may require. So they will be able to receive care right here with dignity, with convenience, and with support. Mr. Speaker, we also recognize that government cannot do this work alone. This is why we have increased financial support to key agencies that operate on the front lines of disability services. This includes the National Council. National Council received an increase in their subvention this year. St. Lucia Blind Welfare Association also received an increase in their subvention, and the Helen Association for Persons with Autism, HAPA, for the first time in the history of St. Lucia, the autism community in St. Lucia have received a subvention as well. These organizations play a critical role in advocacy, in service delivery, and in community support. And by strengthening them, we strengthen the entire ecosystem of care. And Mr. Speaker, whilst I'm on that, I think yesterday I listened to the member for Viewfort South in his presentation, and he made a very critical point, Mr. Speaker. He made mention of a very critical point where we live in a society where sometimes we use disability language and disability associated language to describe persons who we think are less than. So for instance, when someone makes a mistake, you hear them refer to them as, oh, that person have autism, man. Mr. Speaker, in 2026, this cannot be accepted anymore. In 2026, we cannot say that we want or we believe in the advancement of persons with disability and still be using this type of language when we describe other individuals, Mr. Speaker. And that is why the ministry is going to embark on a public sensitization campaign so that we can have the correct conversation, the right terminology being used when we refer to persons with disabilities. And when we embark, and I'm happy that from the ministry standpoint, we have in our midst with us this morning our Director of Disabilities, Mrs. Emmanuel, and I welcome her to the ministry. I want to tell her that she has a lot of work. She has a lot of work ahead of her, but I trust her competence and her ability to be able to deliver. And I have absolutely no doubt that with her at the helm and with her team, that we are really going to change the atmosphere in St. Lucia as it relates to persons with disability. Mr. Speaker, accessibility remains one of the greatest challenges facing persons with disability. This government is taking decisive steps to address this. We will be reviewing and modernizing the National Building Code to ensure that accessibility standards are not optional but mandatory. Public and private spaces must be designed to accommodate all citizens. And it's important that I say that, Mr. Speaker, because when I speak about accessibility, the first thing that comes to my mind is the passport office. And Mr. Speaker, I remember about a year ago, I had some transactions to do at the immigration office. And feeling like the independent man that I am, I figure, okay, I'm going to take a walk across and then go to the passport office myself to transact my business. So, Speaker, when I started going up the steps, truth is, you have in excess of 100 stairs to climb to get to the passport office. So, Speaker, I also remember seeing a video, and I think the now PRO of the National Council for Persons with Disability. I saw him going through town on his mobility scooter, his mobility chair. He was going to the immigration office to transact some business, and when he got to the downstairs of the space, the video ended so close yet so far. And it's, for me, I felt very emotional then watching that video, Mr. Speaker. And I felt as a minister responsible for persons with disability, I have a direct responsibility to ensure that we eliminate these type of situations.
Member, you have 15 minutes left.
Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I must continue from where I was before you interrupted my presentation, Mr. Speaker. Because the truth is, Mr. Speaker, when you go around the city, and I think yesterday I saw it firsthand, and that's why I was very happy when I heard the Prime Minister's announcement where he said that he is going to spend some money on sidewalks to make them more accessible. And I'll tell you why. Yesterday, I was in traffic coming to the city, close to the waterfront, and I saw again Mr. Jean-Baptiste. I think he probably works somewhere by Point Seraphine. And he was coming to the city. And just opposite this area, the open area where we have the big flag, on the opposite side of the road, Mr. Speaker, there is this drain that crosses the curb where they had to put in a piece of plywood over the drain, more or less to slab it, to allow him to be able to pass, because that's his daily route. That's where he commutes every day to go to work. And it really dawned on me, Mr. Speaker, that we really have to get to that point where we stop speaking about accessibility and making it a reality. And with every bit of fiber in me, Mr. Speaker, I will see to it that what is pronounced in the appropriation bill is not just a pronouncement, but it becomes the lived reality. That we can actually make the city and communities more accessible for persons with disability, Mr. Speaker. So, as part of our legislative agenda, we will be reviewing, and I've said to AJ that we will be reviewing the building code to ensure that when, especially now, Mr. Speaker, when we have so many buildings being built, we see construction booming. But I am of the firm belief that any building, unless it's your private home, any building that's going to be providing a public good or public service must be made accessible. It cannot be that in 2026 that you want to rent to the government, that you want to rent to any institution that's going to be providing a public good, and that we have to climb 30, 40 stairs to get to the establishment. And that persons who cannot climb stairs, even those who may not necessarily be disabled but may have mobility issues because of old age, have to suffer, Mr. Speaker. Gone are those days, and as I'm happy to be part of a government that is going to be implementing the change as it relates to that particular agenda. Further, Mr. Speaker, we must, as a government, we have agreed that we have to address access to essential assistive devices. And the Prime Minister have agreed that we are going to provide wheelchairs. And as as small as it may seem, Mr. Speaker, I can tell you that a wheelchair is very impactful to the person who uses it. It is part of their daily life. We are also going to be providing walking aids, hearing aids, and I heard the Prime Minister mention glasses. I need to have a deeper conversation with him, because I'm sure that if I mention glasses here, by the time we go back to the ministry, we'll be flocked. We'll be flocked with individuals there looking for glasses. I see majority of the members here are wearing glasses, Mr. Speaker. So I know that we will be getting quite a few requests. So I will get the correct information. And these are not luxuries, Mr. Speaker. These are necessities that enable independence, mobility, and it helps improve the quality of life. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to report that we have also entered into an arrangement with a landlord, and work will soon commence on establishing a dedicated Department of Disability Affairs. And we will use that as a pilot. It's not you, a member for Central Castries, as a landlord. Probably needs more than the glasses. But Mr. Speaker, we have entered into an agreement with a landlord, and the idea is to use that space as a model for other spaces within the city as it pertains to accessibility. And there will be, very soon we'll be able to provide a central hub for coordination, for service delivery, and for engagement with stakeholders. And Mr. Speaker, beyond the infrastructure and services, we must also address attitudes. Too often persons with disability face stigma, misunderstanding, and exclusion. And that is why we are embarking on the National Public Education and Sensitization Campaign to foster greater awareness, empathy, and acceptance among all St. Lucians. Because true inclusion is not just about policies, but it is about people. The Speaker, Prime Minister have also mandated that we start work on disability-specific legislation, which will provide a strong legal framework to protect rights, promote equality, and ensure accountability. And all of these initiatives reflect a government that understands that disability is not limitation on potential, but a call to action for society. A call to remove barriers, a call to expand opportunities, and a call to ensure that every citizen can live with dignity and can live with purpose. Mr. Speaker, we recognize the value and importance of persons with disabilities, and we have ensured that they feature prominently in this appropriation bill. We are laying the foundation for a more inclusive, a more compassionate, and a more equitable St. Lucia. We can only go up from here, and I look forward to working with all stakeholders, all partners, and all St. Lucians as we continue building a country that is truly the best place to live and work for all St. Lucians. Mr. Speaker, because I am short on time, I want to just repeat some of what I said about disability in Creole. Mr. Speaker, nous c'est un gouvernement qui a mis des affaires moun qui disability, nous a mis les affaires comme priorité, ça nous a fait. Et puis là nous venons un gouvernement les affaires disabilité, je te dit depuis ça à l'autre ministry. Nous venons nous dire non, ça c'est des affaires qui sont importantes pour nous quitter yo ka dit depuis ça et puis tout différent l'autre bagaille. Premier ministre est nécessaire pour moi comme un parlement pour Mikounov, il a une responsabilité comme ministre pour les affaires disabilité à pays ça là. Ça nous fait qu'on nous commencer ça nous a créer un registry. So un registry c'est à côté que tout le monde qui a une disabilité yo ça venir yo ka mettre information yo et puis nous ka aider nous nous ka faire décision et puis nous ka mettre policy ensemble by gens disabilité à pays ça là. Et ka mettre nous en place que nous ça dit la pas ni pièce qui ka été there nous ka savent que tout le monde qui a une disabilité ko yo ka qui qualité disabilité yo ni so nous ka savent qui ça yo besoin et nous ka savent mettre bagaille en place so yo ka savent joindre assistance là yo besoin. Là ni tout différent qualité disabilité. Là ni moun qui une disabilité qui a pêché au marché, là ni moun qui une disabilité l'idée yo pas ça fonctionner manière supposé fonctionner, là ni moun qui une disabilité nous pas ça même pas about Mr. Speaker mais là ni tout différentes qualités de disabilité parce que nous recognize that l'ensi différentes disabilités ça là nous ca mettre différents bagages en place pour aider ces moun ça là. Pour un gouvernement nous est important pour là ni moun qui a besoin wheelchair, là ni moun qui a besoin moun qui a yoni wheelchair mais yo pas ça passer yo pas ça servir wheelchair yo différents côtés parce qu'elle a pas ni chemin la pas ni côté pour yo ça rouler wheelchair ça là ça nous a dit qu'au gouvernement nous ca éprouver c'est situation ça expressement en dedans Castries. Nous n'avons pas de monde qui a venu Castries, nous avons touristes qui a sorti à sous cruise ship qui a venu Castries qui veut voir pays nous. Nous avons des gens qui travaillent en dedans pays ça là qui a servi wheelchair qui brisé aller en travail boulevard là nous avons madame qui a servi wheelchair bon petit Jean-Moi Miss Juliana qui pour aller qui a pack machine et qui pour point wheelchair pour aller en dedans place travail. Nous avons dit que nous avons mis bagay à place pour ces gens ça là il est aisé pour sortir machine yo et pour aller n'importe côté en dedans Castries. Nous aussi est important pour place et bien business qu'a fait ça nous a créé et bien qu'a offert public good et bien public service business qu'a fait bagay by tout le monde dans pays ça là nous est important dans ces business ça là yo tout ni pour me bailler place pour être monde qui disabilité ça venir et puis aisé pour monde ça venir avec sorti entrer sorti en place yo. Comme je dis, nous dans une situation office passeport c'est ici à présent que moun qui a un toit moun qui a un problème pour marcher, yon pour monter combien marche pour arriver dans l'office. Ça va mettre ces moun ça va pressure et nous a dit quand nous aller devant nous pour changer situation ça et nous pour faire plaisir by moun qui a problème pour marcher, moun qui a problème pour catcher nous pour aider yo. Gouvernement ça ouais important tout pour bail nous pas ça faire tout bagaille par contre nous. Là ni différentes agencies qui a aidé nous, agencies comme council pour gens disabilité en cette ici, un council pour monde qui autisme, nous ca bail ces monde ça nous ca faire subvention et ben nous ca bail l'argent pour yo ça et puis là ni un council pour avec aussi. Pour avec aussi Mr. Speaker et nous ca dit nous ca aider ces monde ça là. Nous ca aider ces monde ça là. So yo ça aider ces monde ca tomber bayo. Mr. Speaker, I must mention quickly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I must mention quickly some of the other initiatives in the appropriation bill that I think is worth mentioning before I take my seat, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I heard the member for Viewfort South yesterday speak about the subsidy on the £22 and £20 LPG cylinder. And Mr. Speaker, I think sometimes when something like that happens, it's important that we repeat it so people understand the magnitude of what it is that we are doing as a government. Mr. Speaker, right now people are paying less than half of what it costs for the actual tank of gas. And had it not been for the subvention, for the subsidy from this government, people would be paying in excess of £70, in excess of $70 for £22 cylinder of gas. Et je veux dire ça créole. Si ce n'est pas pour le gouvernement, ça là, c'est mon qui a acheté titan gaz bleu, titan gaz vert. Yo ka paye à présent, yo ka paye après $34 et le gouvernement a mis $36. Et si pas pour le gouvernement et pour ça le gouvernement a fait, un monde qui a payé n'importe quoi d'ici, si pas pour le gouvernement, pour assistance du gouvernement, il a payé en haut $70 pour un ton gaz 20 livres. Mr. Speaker, I think it's important that people understand the magnitude of what it is that we are doing. And we understand that, again, who are the persons who utilize that tank of gas. Mr. Speaker, 5 CXCs. We've expanded the program, 5 CXCs. Right now, the basic requirement for most jobs is 5 CXCs. Somebody can almost say right now that the government is paying what it is that you require as a basic requirement to go to. Mr. Speaker, land rationalization. In Volet, I have heard members speak before me about what is happening in their constituency. I cannot wait for the day that I can come here to say that we are finally done with the Volet lands and we can actually give the people their deeds. And I want to encourage the member for Castries Central to assist me in expediting that process so we can bring it to closure and we can actually give the people their deeds. So, Mr. Speaker, the expansion of the school feeding program, one-time payment of $700 to pensioners, Mr. Speaker, this is revolutionary. This is life-changing, and this is meeting. Mr. Speaker, I just think of it. In November, all pensioners have an extra $700. What a wonderful Christmas we will have. And the Wasco Passius Water Improvement Project, Mr. Speaker, also a very important project for us in the constituency. And I'm very happy that we are actually going to be doing that project. Hopefully we can bring it to closure by the end of September, October, and the people of Passius and the northern end of Mikud North can actually get some relief. But Mr. Speaker, before I take my seat, I must speak from the heart, tell you that our Prime Minister, I want to say thank you for your vision, for your courage, and for your unwavering commitment to our nation. To the staff at my ministry, whose dedication often goes unseen, and to the tireless team at my constituency office, who carry the hopes and concerns of the people every single day, I tell you, you are the backbone of our work. To my permanent secretary, my deputy permanent secretary, directors, our fire chief, deputy director of the prison, I want to tell you, thank you for the role that you play in my journey. Thank you for shaping me, Mr. Speaker, into the minister that I am today. And fellow St. Lucians, I want you to hear me, that the future of our country is not the responsibility of government alone. It rests in the hands of every man, every woman, and every child who calls this land home. Every effort you make to lift your neighbor, to build your business, to educate your children, to protect your environment, to care for your communities, that is how we build a stronger, fairer, and brighter St. Lucia. When we all do well, our nation thrives. When we all contribute, our island becomes a place where dreams are not just imagined, they are achieved. And let us remember this truth: prosperity is never a gift. It is a result of effort, commitment, and courage. And as John F. Kennedy once said, Mr. Speaker, ask not what your country can do for you, especially in these times, Mr. Speaker, in this time of uncertainty, but ask what can you do for your country. Let us take those words to heart. Let us recognize that the future of St. Lucia is in our hands, in every decision we make and in every action we take. Together, we can make St. Lucia not just the most beautiful island in the Caribbean, but the best place to live, work, and to thrive. It is our shared duty, our shared responsibility, and our shared triumph when we succeed. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
The member for Castries North.
Senior Minister.
Can I put it back towards me? Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, today I am proud and honored to stand here in this honorable House to offer my unwavering support for the Appropriation Bill 2026-2027 as presented by the Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Constituency Development, People Empowerment and National Security, the Honorable Philip Joseph Pierre, on Tuesday 21st this week. More so, Mr. Speaker, I am dignified by my association with and part of a dynamic team of men and women, a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, so committed to the cause of the people and our country. This is putting people first, sincerely. Mr. Speaker, I don't say this lightly. I say it unequivocally, with a deep sense of conviction. Mr. Speaker, listening to the Prime Minister as he presented the 2026-27 Appropriation Bill, I heard the voice of compassion, the voice of conviction and love for his people and country. The policies articulated in social development and social security, education, youth development, sports, health, human resource development, agriculture, national development, infrastructure, housing, public service, crime prevention, national security, tourism and investment, and the people empowerment, etc. Our leader has demonstrated that he cares for all strata of our society, regardless of class. The initiatives outlined underscores the philosophy which underpins the Prime Minister's intentions and commitment, which reminds me of the proverb, Luke 12:48, unto him much is given, much is expected. But Mr. Speaker, at the same time, I'm inclined to reflect on the conduct, behavior of a certain parliamentarian who over the years, year after year, year in, year out, displays this despicable, sulky, irritable, and disgraceful conduct in the Parliament, which mirrors the behavior of a petulant child who feels entitled and must have his way or else. Too often, Mr. Speaker, we have seen this same gentleman walk in here, behave like he is the conductor, he is the instructor, he is the lecturer, he is the one who knows it all, and if he doesn't have his way, he picks up his marbles and he walks out. Last night, Mr. Speaker, before he could have walked in, before he could have instructed, before he could have lectured, before he could have settled to understand what he was into, what he had missed for 2 days, Mr. Speaker, the door shut on him and he was left in a daze. Mr. Speaker, such behavior is unacceptable as it disgraces the Parliament of St. Lucia, even though it's a reflection of what's taken place in their own party. He hijacked, distorted its philosophy, mutilated its brand of pride, dignity, fairness, respect, and decency, and replaced it with disgrace, shame, and vulgarity. Now they are fighting like crabs in a barrel all over the place, bottle in hand, challenging each other, accusing each other of one thing or the other, denigrating the organization that I belong to, denigrating an organization that I helped build its structures, build its youth membership, and held it for 9 years in opposition and preparing it to regain government without making any noise like they have made in the last 5 years. Mr. Speaker, they will continue to make noise, they'll continue to grandstand, they'll continue to fight, Mr. Speaker. If they believe 10 years is opposition for them, they are there to see many more years beyond 10, 20, and coming with this government in office. But, Mr. Speaker, as I reflect to present my contribution to the appropriation bill before us, I do so not just as the senior minister and minister for the public service, transport, information, and utilities regulation, and the sitting member for Castries North, but as a man who has walked through the fire of political treachery and emerged not burnt, but refined. I stand here with the weight of years behind me and the light of a clear conscience before me. There are those who called me a snake from the other side, but are now fighting on the streets. They plotted in the dark, in the corridors of selfish ambition, weaving machinations to sideline a servant who had given his life to the nation and to a movement. They labeled me with venom, hoping to poison the well of public trust and public opinion. But, Mr. Speaker, I am a believer of the scriptures, and I am reminded of the profound truth We are instructed to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. So if they wish to call me a serpent, let it be so. For a serpent must shed its skin to glow. In 2021, Mr. Speaker, in 2021, Mr. Speaker, I shed the skin of a party that had been hijacked, a party that was no longer the beacon of hope, founded by the great Sir John Compton, but a hollow vessel commandeered by Johnny. I mean Johnny come lately. Individuals driven not by service, but by aggrandizement and a thirst for power. Mr. Speaker, this is the behavior we have seen here year after year, sitting after sitting. An individual driven not by service, but by aggrandizement and the thirst for power. Mr. Speaker, I gave my youth to the United Workers' Party, the then United Workers' Party. I gave my sweat, my tears, and my service. But there comes a moment in every man's life when he must look in the mirror and ask, does this institution serve this institution I serve, does this institution I serve still reflect the values I hold? Mr. Speaker, the values that I continue to hold no longer reside where I came from. They are no longer united, nor workers, or in any form a party. The values that I hold now reside in the institution, the team, and the government of the St. Lucia Labour Party, of which I'm a part of and led by the Honourable Philip J. Pierre. Mr. Speaker, we listened to the Prime Minister on Tuesday as he delivered the Appropriation Bill and articulated the programs and policies of the government for his people, for our country. In every facet, Mr. Speaker, in every facet, the Prime Minister was able to indicate clearly, with conviction and passion, the intention of this government to continue to serve the people beyond 16-1. Mr. Speaker, I commend the Prime Minister on his fortitude, his foresight, and his wisdom, and his understanding of the people of this country. That relationship which he has built for many years, that relationship of serving with honesty, serving with dignity, serving with sincerity, and of course, serving with passion. Mr. Speaker, this Prime Minister is a Prime Minister of the people, that he can understand their needs and hear their cries, and to respond to the voices that he's hearing out there, from the little child up who believes in him, from the grown individuals who simply wants to understand and to get a listening ear, and to respond to their needs. That is why, Mr. Speaker, today we can boast of having a government who responds to students, a government who responds to persons in need of health care, a government which responds to individuals who are in business and who need assistance, a government who is responding to all and sundry, regardless of political, social, or religious strata. This is the government, Mr. Speaker, that serves the people. This is the government that's destined to be in office as it continues its mission of serving people. Mr. Speaker, having said this, and I may come back a little later, having said this, as I now move to addressing the issues of the Ministry of the Public Service, I'm obliged to offer a disclaimer. Much of my reporting today captures the efforts and initiatives of those who blazed the trail ahead of my assumption of the leadership of the Department of the Public Service. Credit is due to former Minister Dr. Virginia Albert Poyer for her steadfast leadership PS Janet Bernard, Deputy PS Kathlina Prevel, Assistant PS Augusta Duval Toussaint, and the management teams, heads of division, technical, operational, and line staff for their achievements during the previous term and the years before. Mr. Speaker, in aligning with the government's commitment to invest in the quality of our public service, a significant advancement was attained during the year 2025-2026 fiscal year in the digital space of government. Mr. Speaker, it's an historic milestone which will further enhance public service efficiency and productivity as it unfolds in the holistic modernization of our human capital throughout the public service. I speak of, Mr. Speaker, the Cloud Suite Human Capital Management, CSHCM, which officially went live in October of 2025. Mr. Speaker, this platform is a modern foundation for human resource development management within government. It's a modern foundation for human resources, Mr. Speaker. The successful implementation of Cloud Suite Human Capital Management has permitted the full capture of all employee data previously contained in the legacy SmartStream HR payroll system. Mr. Speaker, while SmartStream served our HR needs for decades, it was primarily tailored for processing payroll. In contrast, the new Cloud Suite HCM is fully tailored within a comprehensive human resource context. The transition, Mr. Speaker, to this robust and centralized repository of HR data offers 4 fundamental benefits. You know, many a times, Mr. Speaker, there are those who say that the Department of Public Service is not responsive, they are not efficient, they're not dealing with matters of the general public or even public officers themselves in a very timely and efficient way. I too have said so, Mr. Speaker, for when it took me 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks to get a replacement for an officer of mine, I considered that they were not delivering. But, Mr. Speaker, what has come to light, Mr. Speaker, that the very department which is dealing with public sector modernization is also addressing an internal issue of being able to modernize their processes and to deliver to the people of this country. Having assumed office, Mr. Speaker, I have engaged with the various units and those responsible to ensure that we accelerate in a very meaningful way to deliver on the efficiencies of the Department of the Public Service. I must commend those officers who are working tirelessly, who have given a deadline by which to return to me and to give me a strategic plan to fast-track the elements of modernization, the elements of digitization, and the elements of automation. The SmartStream system, Mr. Speaker, will deal with all of those. It will, 1, serve as the single source of truth for all employee data, forming the bedrock for the automation of several core HR functions. What does that mean, Mr. Speaker? It means now that unlike what entails at this time, when one is called upon to the Public Service Department on a matter pertaining to a worker, they've got to go in and manually pick up files and get the information to take a decision. So if a minister were to say to the Department of Public Service today that I need a particular officer with a particular level of experience and, of course, knowledge and educational background. There are two ways they do it. One is to physically go into the filing cabinets. Filing cabinets would serve 12,000 plus public officers, or to revert to memory and to search their memory as to who are the officers who they know. Not the system knows, but who they know, where they exist, and to be able to recommend that person for a possible opportunity. The smart stream system, not the smart, the Cloud Suite HCM, Mr. Speaker, will deal with all of this in an automated way. Once that system gets running, it means that when the Prime Minister or anybody, any minister calls and says, I need someone competent enough, they will simply go online and to be able to produce that information within probably 5 minutes or less. It also, Mr. Speaker, the HCM program, Human Capital Management Program of Cloud Suite, will also enhance reporting and accuracy. The system facilitates the generation of specific reports with specificity and significantly improve accuracy compared to previous manual or payroll-centric methods. There are persons sometimes who have gone to who are up for retirement or whose contract has come to an end, and it is the public service who must commence the process of computing and determining what amount of leave one has, how long did they serve, and to compute what is required for those officers. In some instances, it takes 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and in other instances, 6 weeks. That system, Mr. Speaker, will enhance the reporting and accuracy. It will be an evidence-based policy, Mr. Speaker. It provides a wider range of options for capturing relevant HRM data, directly informing policy development and high-level decision-making. It has a wider scope, which is the fourth point, Mr. Speaker, a wider scope of automation. The architecture allows for the continuous integration of additional HR modules, moving us further away from the 90 manual processes that currently hinders the HRM division's efficiency. Mr. Speaker, the fourth benefit is probably the most critical element of the platform, which, when fully institutionalized, will improve efficiency within the public service and among the general population who we serve and who complain on a daily basis. Mr. Speaker, this system will also deal with the issue of leave and performance management. Too often, Mr. Speaker, public officers either do not take their leave, they are delinquent in leave consumption, or have taken more leave than they deserve. And it's only because the system is not automating. This, Mr. Speaker, will be building on the momentum which has already started to accelerate the process of the HRM division, advancing the automation to two critical models. Absence management system, to be able to manage in an automated way all absence issues. If you go on leave, to manage that thing. And the second one is performance management, which is what we call the appraisal system. The appraisal system, Mr. Speaker, is subjective in many ways. The appraisal system exposes individuals to be victimized if an individual or supervisor feels that they won't support that individual. The new system, Mr. Speaker, will be able, with the components of the new system, it will help to improve on that. Now, these modules, Mr. Speaker, are scheduled to go live by the end of April 2026, beginning with the targeted pilot program involving the Audit Department and the Ministry of the Public Service itself. Following the successful completion of these pilots, these modules will be rolled out throughout the other ministries, throughout the public service, on a phased approach basis until we are through in this financial year, 2026-2027. All of this, Mr. Speaker, is to make the public service more efficient, productive, and of course to provide a much better service to the general public and to improve the ease of doing business, not only for investors, but to our very own people. Mr. Speaker, the system revolutionizes workforce planning, perhaps the most groundbreaking achievement of this system. And that is, for the first time in the history of the St. Lucia Public Service, we now will possess a system capable of capturing both employee qualifications and job specifications simultaneously. Mr. Speaker, this functionality introduces a revolutionary automated job fit analysis. This capability is critical to our long-term success as it will directly enhance recruitment and selection, performance management, and employee development. Mr. Speaker, let me just move quickly to another aspect of the department, and I speak to the Public Service Training Institute. A proposal which we are currently working on, a new initiative, and we're hoping that once we are complete in terms of conceptualizing the proposal, that next year we will put in the necessary requests for funding. It is a justification for the establishment of a Public Service Training Institute and the formation of an expert committee. This, Mr. Speaker, is dear to my heart, as I believe the government of St. Lucia has consistently recognized that the effectiveness of the public service is fundamentally dependent on the competence, professionalism, and continuous development of its human resources. The Training and Development Policy provides the administrative framework for managing training and development initiatives and designates the Training Division as the principal body responsible for this function. However, Mr. Speaker, the evolving demands of governance driven by digital transformation, increasing complexities of public policy, and rising expectations for efficient and citizen-centric service delivery require a more structured, modern, and institutionalized approach to training. In this context, there is a clear strategic need to transition the Training Division, as it is commonly called, into a Public Service Training Institute or School of Public Sector Administration, supported by a dedicated expert committee and strengthened by a comprehensive digital learning strategy. 2. Policy alignment and strategic direction. The Training and Development Policy explicitly mandates the continuous development of public officers to improve productivity and service delivery. This emphasizes the need for structured training programs, competency development, and equitable access to learning opportunities across all levels of the public service. 2. The design and delivery of the structured training programs across all levels and categories of employees in the public service. And 3. The establishment of systems for A, training needs identification, B, competency development, and C, training evaluation and impact assessment. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, the policy highlights the need for a competency-based annual training plan, 2, a cadre of trained trainers, mechanisms for accreditation of training programs, a centralized and well-coordinated training system. While these provisions, Mr. Speaker, collectively point toward a structured and standards-driven training system, the current institutional arrangement does not fully support their comprehensive implementation. The establishment, therefore, of a Public Service Training Institute or the School of Public Administration represents a logical and necessary progression to fully realize the intent of the policy. The accreditation, Mr. Speaker, the accreditation of training programs is essential to ensure that learning delivered within the public service meets recognized standards of quality, relevance, and rigor. Accredited courses provide assurance that content, delivery, methods, and assessment processes are aligned with established national, regional, or international benchmarks, thereby enhancing credibility and value of certifications awarded to public officers. Mr. Speaker, I believe this is most important, because if we are to run a professional public service, if we are to improve on the quality of service that we offer to the people, if we're looking for competent people, if we're looking for future permanent secretaries, future heads of departments, Mr. Speaker, we cannot depend on the reliance of a unit that is serviced with only 3 or 4 trainers to train the public service to be able to equip our public officers. Neither, Mr. Speaker, can we depend on public officers, particularly young public officers, Mr. Speaker, who must find the resources through loans, through grants, scholarships from government and other sources to go and train themselves and to return to the public service to find the opportunity of mobility. From a best practice perspective, Mr. Speaker, modern public sector training institutions globally adopt accreditation frameworks to support quality assurance, standardization, and continuous improvement. Accreditation also facilitates the portability and recognition of qualifications, strengthens professional development pathways, and ensures that training investments translate into measurable improvements in performance and service delivery. That is what we need in the public service, Mr. Speaker. The third point, Mr. Speaker, rationale for establishing the Public Service Training Institute. At present, the training division performs a wide range of functions, including the identification of training needs service-wide, the design and delivery of programs, the coordination and centralized training, the administration of development initiatives. While these functions are critical, they are being executed within a framework that was not originally designed to support the scale of specialization and long-term strategic impact. And that is what I'm speaking about. The world has evolved. Modernization is taking place. Technology is taking over. And yet, the approach which we have in training our public service is what existed probably 40 years ago. Transforming the division, Mr. Speaker, into a formal institute would elevate its status from a coordinating unit to a recognized center of excellence, accredited probably to Sir Arthur Lewis Community College or to the University of the West Indies. And they will be a center of excellence in public sector learning. And Mr. Speaker, I hope the Minister for Finance is not getting scared when I speak about setting up an accredited body with accreditation and to be able to focus entirely on training the entire public service, preparing people for leadership roles. Mr. Speaker, I believe there are many young people within the public service who are yearning for an opportunity. There are those who have come in and who are now attempting to get out of grades 3, 4, and 5. I have been able to identify within the ranks and file of the public service. There are hundreds of young people, Mr. Speaker, who have been stuck at one grade, grade 4, for more than 10 years, yearning, begging, asking, trying to do courses here and there, can't afford it, begging to do it. Mr. Speaker, if only we can do this one thing for our public service and give our young people an opportunity of compulsory training to be able to move up or to be able to move out into greener pastures, I'm sure we'll be further blessed by the Almighty. This shift, Mr. Speaker, would strengthen its authority, enhance its visibility, and provide a clearer institutional identity aligned with its expanding mandate. It would also allow for more a more deliberate and structured approach to program design, delivery, and evaluation, ensuring that training interventions are not only responsive, but also forward-looking. Mr. Speaker, there's a lot to say on this matter. So what we have done, Mr. Speaker, we have now decided to establish a specialized internal group of experts to look into the possibility of the need to establish this institution, which would provide the governance systems and credibility necessary to ensure that training programs meet recognized national, regional, and international benchmarks. This, in turn, Mr. Speaker, would enhance the value of certifications awarded to public officers and strengthen the overall quality of training delivery within the public service. Mr. Speaker, let me quickly move on, because I believe time is running, to another area within the department. And I move to the issue of digital development within the public service. For many years, Mr. Speaker, we have been speaking of the need for digital transformation, the need for public sector, public service modernization, which started sometime in 1996-97 as public sector reform. There was no issue at the time about modernization or digitization. But throughout the years, we have been working on it. And so we have got to the cusp of moving into the realm of developing digital development strategy policy perspectives. In recognition of the rapidly evolving digital landscape, as I've said, there's a need for us to move in that direction. And it is necessary, therefore, Mr. Speaker, that we develop the necessary landscape, the National Digital Development Policy and Strategy, designed to guide the transformation of public and private sectors through the integration of digital technologies, while ensuring alignment with legal, ethical, and regulatory frameworks. The focus is on fostering innovation, efficiency, and accessibility, while safeguarding the rights of individuals and communities. What this means, Mr. Speaker, is that with the transformation that we're talking about, the digitization of government services, that persons not just in the government itself, in the public sector, but also those who are out there in the private sector, the people, to be able to access those services and to be able to make things happen within quick time. It means, therefore, we've got to align our legislation, align it with, to meet what I call the growing sector of digitization and bringing about a modern public sector service. Digital transformation policy statement, Mr. Speaker. It is intended to enhance service delivery, leveraging digital tools to improve the accessibility, quality, and efficiency of public and private sector services, support economic growth, facilitating innovation, and create new economic opportunities through the adoption of digital technologies, promote digital inclusion, ensure equitable access to digital tools and technologies for all citizens, reducing dependencies in access to information and services, encourage collaboration, foster public-private partnerships, as well as cross-sector cooperation to accelerate digital transformation, and benefits management framework to ensure that projects and programs deliver the intended benefits and value which is assigned to the overall strategic objectives of the government of St. Lucia. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, to do all of this, we need to develop policy pillars, digital policy, legislation, and regulation. A key, and it's necessary for all of those, because we cannot move into the digital realm without ensuring that the realm is equipped to handle our move in that direction. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, we need to develop the legal and regulatory policy framework. We need to further there's need for further strengthening of the data protection and privacy policy. Cybersecurity becomes an issue, Mr. Speaker, and therefore we need to move in that direction. Digital governance and accountability. To establish clear regulations to govern digital platforms and technologies, ensuring transparency, accountability, and ethical practices in their development and use. Artificial intelligence, Mr. Speaker, and automation. Develop regulations that govern the use of AI and automation, ensuring that their deployment is ethical, fair, and non-discriminatory. As we speak, Mr. Speaker, in the United Kingdom is thinking of some new measures as far as it pertains to artificial intelligence. Digital policy pillar, governance and funding. The success of the development of a digital St. Lucia at the national level requires significant coordination and planning within government and timely collaboration with the private sector and other key development partners. Therefore, there must be a new national digital governance structure which supports the sustainable achievement of the digital St. Lucia agenda, while providing the necessary oversight on the alignment and funding of national strategic digital projects and actively promoting the digital agenda through stakeholder engagement with citizens and local and foreign businesses. Mr. Speaker, all of this is intended to at least live up to the expectation of the government when it speaks of the ease of doing business, to live up to the expectation of the people who, when they go to a public office, they expect to receive quality service. All of this, Mr. Speaker, that I've spoken of is to do just this. Then there's the policy objectives, which means to create strategic focus on digital St. Lucia, establish a governance structure, conduct a reclassification and compensation review, provide visible and sustainable championship, and provide effective promotion of the digital St. Lucia agenda. Then you have the National Authentication Framework, Mr. Speaker, which was one of the most recent achievements upon my entry. And as I said, I'm not the one who initiated it, but I'm the one who more or less stepped forward to propagate it. DigiGov, Mr. Speaker, continues to be a key driver of St. Lucia's digital transformation strategy and the government's long-term digital development agenda. DigiGov is specifically designed to enhance government efficiency by leveraging ICT to make public services more accessible, integrated, and secure. By streaming public sector processes, DigiGov aims to improve service delivery for citizens, businesses, and government agencies while reducing operational costs and eliminating redundancies. It enables seamless government to government, government to citizen, and government to business transactions, unrestricted by geographic location or operating hours. All of these, Mr. Speaker, speaks to where we are heading with the government digitization process. A key initiative, Mr. Speaker, which was launched, as I said early on, upon my arrival, is that of the government, and we are proud of it, is the rollout of the first phase of the National Authentication Framework on the DigiGov platform. The NAF, as it is called, National Authentication Framework, is the Government of St. Lucia identity management system that generates a unique identifier for all users of the platform. And we are hoping that at some stage very soon, that every St. Lucian will have a national authentication identity. The NAF is the catalyst for what we refer to as the digital citizen, and is characterized as the responsible and ethical use of technology, guided by government policies and regulations to ensure online safety, privacy, and legal compliance. Critical to this concept of a digital citizen, the NAF, the National Authentication Framework, will provide a secure platform for identity management and empowers citizens to confidently access services. And I believe Minister Estefan is a holder of the NAF. Government of St. Lucia online and participate equitably in our digital economy. For 2026-2027 financial year, the Ministry of the Public Service, Information and Utilities Regulation, through the Division of Public Sector Modernization, will be implementing the second phase of the NAF. Mr. Speaker, some of the benefits of the NAF I will probably skip this one. But some of the benefits of the NAF, Mr. Speaker, provide a central database for the electronic authentication of all entities interacting with government online, promote e-authentication as a government-wide partnership that is supported by the agencies providing e-services. It offers adequate security levels and trusted authentication mechanisms for citizens. And for businesses, it supports business opportunities for the private sector.
Member, you have 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker,
Member for Denry North.
Mr. Speaker, I stand to invoke Standing Order 4210 to allow the Minister for the Public Service an additional half hour within which to complete his presentation.
Honourable members, the question is that Standing Order 3210 be invoked to suspend Standing Order 32.8 to allow the member an additional 30 minutes in which to complete his presentation. I now put the question. As many as have an opinion say aye. Aye. As many as have a contrary opinion say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Please proceed, member.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, members, for your generosity. Mr. Speaker, let me deal with some other aspects, and I move to Caribbean Digital Transformation Project, which is a World Bank project, which runs through the Caribbean, through the OECS particularly, and attempts to assist governments, again, in modernizing the systems, modernizing the public service. And it's sponsored by the World Bank, and for St. Lucia, it's a grant of $25 million US. This program has been going on for some time. The time expired, and we have been given an extra period which will allow us to complete the program in the next 23 months, I believe. Mr. Speaker, that program deals with national cybersecurity strategy and the establishment of a government cyber facility. The national cybersecurity strategy, Mr. Speaker, will assist us to be more secured in as far as conducting business in the digital sphere. Mr. Speaker, I move on to the National Government Data Center, which is a critical element under that same program of what we call the CADIP, the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project. This element deals with National Government Data Center. And the data center, Mr. Speaker, is this national infrastructure which allows the government to be able to safely secure its information, to get its information in that space, protected and only available to the government through proper necessary security measures. It will serve as the central hub for government data and digital systems, provide secure hosting of critical government platforms, enable off-site backup, disaster recovery and data replication, support both the data center and the cyber incident response, CIR. The next one, Mr. Speaker, is one which is part of the CADIP, but is on behalf of the Department of Physical Development, and it is the modernization of the land administration through the e-land registry system, which represents a critical reform in public service delivery. One of the biggest problems we have had, Mr. Speaker, in this country is the complaints being made based on the services, the efficiency of services at the land registry, civil status registry, which has sort of quieted down a bit because we have done some work there. But in this case, Mr. Speaker, this project has been going on for a little while, and we have started making some movements as of last year, and we're getting close to this, seeing this project come through. Mr. Speaker, a consultancy was engaged in December 2024, and that we were working on for quite a while, Mr. Speaker, but finally we were able to pin them down, and so a consultancy was engaged in December 2024 to develop the technical requirements following the completion of the engagement. The project is now in advanced procurement, and with proposals recently received for the development and implementation of the e-land registry. I'm sure Minister Keithson Charles will be very excited that we are making progress, and under the CADIP program, for which
member for Castries North, you are aware that you're not supposed to refer to members directly.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker. Sorry, Mr. Speaker. I looked at you and I thought you were asleep a bit, so I tried to slip this one in. Slip this one in. Yes, Mr. Speaker, but I'm sure the parliamentary representative for Choiseul Fonsejac, Saltibus, sorry, will be very pleased to note that we are making progress on this one. The implementation, Mr. Speaker, of the land registry system represents a major step forward to the full digitization and modernization of land administration in St. Lucia. By transitioning from largely manual and paper-based processes to a digital automated system, land records will be securely stored, easily retrievable, and significantly more reliable. This digitization reduces the risk of lost or damaged records, improves accuracy, and allows for faster verification and processing of land transactions. Mr. Speaker, this is so important. We are sitting on a gold mine of resources. What will happen when this project is over? It means that people wanting to access information from the land registry can remotely do it without interfering with the privacy of landowners. So if someone wants to build a hotel and they're looking for land, they can go on there and try to see where it is. But in terms of getting in there and accessing information that is supposed to be private, whether it's your status with your bank, etc., that they wouldn't do. Mr. Speaker, through this land registry, we would be in a position to be able to get persons, particularly lawyers and developers and investors, to subscribe to the registry, where government can generate much resources for the further development of the department. The GINet, Mr. Speaker, which is going into fourth phase, many of you know of this program, and in this fourth phase, Mr. Speaker, the GINet will expand to add a tourism and disaster management dimension to the project. This phase is expected to enhance the visitor experience at key tourism sites, while also providing the means to facilitate the use of Internet of Things, LOT, devices in support of national disaster readiness. Additionally, we expect Wi-Fi as a service to deliver announcements, advertisements, DigiGov access, rental, analytics, and other value-added services. The proposed sites for this phase are Tet Paul, Rainforest Adventures, Millet River Rafting, and Sulphur Springs, Granville Plain Field, Tuya Bus Shelter Area, Corinth Field, Grosley Recreational Beach Park, the Grosley Recreational Beach Park, Rivière Mitan Bus Shelter, Community Center, Wen Plain Field, Carolee Park, Boapatat Multipurpose Court, Rock Hall Court, Marshall Market, Canneries, and Ancillary. All of those locations, Mr. Speaker, are new locations under Phase 4 to provide the GINet services that more or less expands the range of public access to the Internet. Then there's the other part, Mr. Speaker, which is the final part under this section, and that is land and legal and regulatory reform to support digital transformation. As I said earlier on, Mr. Speaker, you cannot speak of digital transformation if you don't embark on a legal and regulatory reform program focused on capacity building, legislative review, and recommendations and the passage of legislation to further strengthen our e-enabling legislative framework to support digital transformation. This is absolutely necessary. Otherwise, you'll be simply speaking about an idea, but not putting the necessary architecture and infrastructure in place to create the enabling environment to provide those services. Mr. Speaker, if I should move on further, there are a number of components, Mr. Speaker, in this program, all of which I have already articulated in some form or fashion. And also, Mr. Speaker, I move to the issue of the Department of Organizational Development, what we call ODD or thereabout. The Organizational Development Division is responsible for effectively managing organizational systems and structures and workings of the public administration. That is the department, Mr. Speaker, which deals with every other ministry regarding new positions, restructuring, redesignating, etc., etc. Under the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project, that department will engage in a number of activities to further enhance the offerings of the department. The objective, Mr. Speaker, is to review. The objective of this department, Mr. Speaker, is to automate and digitize to be able to perform in a more efficient manner. I also want to speak, Mr. Speaker, to a matter which is unfolding as we speak. And that initiative is an initiative which was started sometime in 2011. And that is the implementation, Mr. Speaker, of and review of job classification and payroll pay plan within the public service. The government of St. Lucia, Mr. Speaker, in September 1991 established a classification and pay plan of the St. Lucia Public Service, which came into effect in September of that year. The primary purpose of the classification plan, Mr. Speaker, is to grade offices relative to one another in order to provide a basic for equitable assignment of salaries. So what is happening, Mr. Speaker? In a number of ways, what has happened is that persons come into the public service, they are brought in, say, as a secretary, but there's no real job description because not all secretaries perform the same duties, but they're placed there and given a grade. In some instances, there are people without any job description. They're employed under one head, but is utilized in another position. So by doing this review of the job classification and pay plan, it will allow us to be able to assess every single position within the government system and to refresh and develop job descriptions for every single officer in the public service, and to have this available for all who enter within the public service to follow. Mr. Speaker, we've had instances where persons were given a particular position and a name was assigned to them. So you have somebody who's given a job created maybe by someone who's facilitating an individual with a job and says specialist in public or in physical development. But there's no name in the book called Specialist Physical Development Officer. So you're given that job and then you're assigned a grade. So that officer, who you've given a name that does not exist in the books, you're also giving him a grade that does not exist in the book. So there's a disparity between the responsibility, the function, and the salary which he receives. Well, I wouldn't say that in public. But we do have such situations, Mr. Speaker. And many times there is conflict which exists as, you know, heads of department and others who are more or less manning the system, who want to ensure that things are straight, etc. So this exercise, which has been funded by the World Bank, Mr. Speaker, will allow the department for 1 year to be able to review the job classification and pay plan and to be able to deliver to the government a review that suits the purpose for which persons are given responsibility for. So the objectives of the consultancy, Mr. Speaker, which has already been signed, will review and develop job descriptions that align with modern public sector roles and incorporate digital skills and qualifications. It will review and update benchmark requirements and various qualification matrix to encompass not only academic qualifications, but digital skills, technical and vocational training, professional classifications, and licenses. Again, Mr. Speaker, at the time when the job classifications were done years ago, there was no technology skills at the time, no digital skills, no vocational training, and one would be assessed and classified based on academic attainment rather than a gamut of qualities, including academic, vocational, technical, digital, and other forms of training that makes that person a rounded public officer, Mr. Speaker. To do this, Mr. Speaker, the other aspect we're looking at is to be able to bring clarity to the benchmark requirements of entering the public service. As we speak, the benchmark requirement for entering the public service calls for 5 CXCs or CSEC certificates. It doesn't say whether it's 1, it doesn't say whether it's 2s or 3s or 4s, 5. I never even knew that there's a certificate at grade 6, CSEC grade 6 certification. So from 1 to 6. So invariably, what you have happening is the fact that there may be individuals who may not really truly qualify with the quality of qualification that you're looking for, that will present you with an individual who eventually emerges as a competent, dynamic, and efficient permanent secretary. So we believe that every individual who enters the public service must have that potential. So to set the clear benchmarks of what you can accept a 6 in, what you should have a 1 and a 2, or otherwise. And that once you get in, then you have the opportunity of accessing the Public Service Training Institute or the School of Public Administration to be able to move up without any burdensome financial responsibility, to be able to move up the ranks into the public service. This is what this is all about. It will align clarification and pay plan. It will develop job families as we speak and job bands along with requisite competency frameworks. Build capacity through the conduct of practical training exercises. It is expected to have a comprehensive job description that improve role clarity, enhance employee productivity, and align positions with the evolving demands of the digital economy. Mr. Speaker, there's a whole network of initiatives, only, Mr. Speaker, to do one thing. And that one thing, Mr. Speaker, is to improve the quality of the public service and the quality of the individuals who work within the public service. The service which is given out, and the quality of delivery, the quality, the competence, and the ability of those persons. So, Mr. Speaker, I move on, and I'll skip a few of the elements that are in there, elements such as organizational restructuring, the element of job description writing, which it will call for to write job descriptions to make sure they are adequate, appropriate, and of course are in line. Job description repository, and what that means is that once all those job descriptions are prepared and are cleaned and sanitized, then you establish a repository of job descriptions that you know when someone is being offered a position, you know where to go and you'll have it readily available and not to be thinking where can you put those persons. There's a small project, Mr. Speaker, within the Department of the Public Service or the Ministry of the Public Service, and it's called Employee Assistance Program, EAP. Many people probably don't even know about that program, but it is a very important program which started 10 years ago. Last month, they celebrated the 10th anniversary. And this program, Mr. Speaker, is intended to assist employees at work and to intervene in some of the problems that employees may have. So many times we complain about employees within the public service and we say this employee is not performing, this employee has an attitude, this employee comes to work in the morning and is not talking to anybody, this employee is bad, this employee is not good. But what the department found out, in fact the government in 2016, I think it was under the PM's time as Minister for Infrastructure, there was an incident which happened within the public service, Mr. Speaker, which affected many public officers psychologically and mentally. And the Department of the Public Service thought that it would be good if you can have a program to assist those persons, to enhance their whole attitude, their behavior, to deal with psychological issues, and to help more or less bring them back on track. The Employee Assistance Program, Mr. Speaker, is a work-based intervention program designed to enhance the professional attitude of government employees. The professional attitude, the attitude that many public persons from the public sector, who sometimes complain about the attitude of public service. And as for us, we should not be afraid to say that it exists and that we must do something about it. So this helps in that regard to enhance professional attitude of workers, to provide assistance to individuals who are experiencing professional and personal problems which adversely affect them, their quality of life, and job performance. That is what the Employee Assistance Program is all about. And as parliamentarians and ministers, I would encourage you, one of these days we need to go in and see and to experience what they are doing. The atmosphere. They are located at Union next to the Ministry of Infrastructure. They have a very beautiful location there, and they're doing a fantastic job with just about 3 workers who are providing the service to the various individuals. They provide services such as counseling sessions on various topics, including but not limited to job-related issues, emotional difficulties, abuse, alcohol and chemical dependency, health challenges, dependent care, domestic violence, marital conflict, grief, medical stress, anxiety, depression, financial issues, and trauma. All of those services are provided, and they work with different departments of government, the Ministry of Health and other departments, and they work very closely with other departments in an effort, an endeavor to ensure that we reach out to those persons who are battling with such conditions. Mr. Speaker, I will skip a few of what I have there in the interest of time and move to another area that I believe is very important. Mr. Speaker, I want to touch on security at the Graham Lucy building. Many of you, Mr. Speaker, would have recognized that in recent times we have seen an upgrade to the facilities at the Graham Lucy complex. And that, Mr. Speaker, is necessary as we recognize what is unfolding not only in St. Lucia but throughout the world, and to bring a level of discipline within the public space of government. It is intended to ensure that individuals who are coming to work are safe in the building. It is intended to ensure that persons who are coming into the building receive the right treatment and have the right measures of control and accessibility to offices in the government building. So what you have seen, Mr. Speaker, is enclosure, because we have had acts of theft, acts of violence in the vicinity of the building. So we have upped the security within the Graham Lucy building. We have a number of projects were undertaken in 2025 to bring about the operational improvements within the building. And this financial year, some more work will be done to strengthen security at the government building. We are also looking at improving the issue of dress code at the building in terms of how persons dress to come to the building. I know some people have some issues about that, but we believe that in a public space, particularly the main government building where the Prime Minister is housed, that we believe that persons ought to be well dressed coming into the building, at least decently dressed. We're not saying to wear your tie and your suit, but at least decently dressed so that you can get into the various offices of the government. We have, Mr. Speaker, I am very careful, we have, Mr. Speaker, we have, Mr. Speaker, installed security cameras, security gates, and others, so as to be able to address some of the issues which sometimes escape us. I want to quickly move, Mr. Speaker, to some other areas, and they are, well, where did I put it? Yes, Mr. Speaker, I want to move to some other areas, which include the area of transport. The Transport Department, which followed me, Mr. Speaker, is one department in that ministry which is undergoing some major initiatives that will hopefully transform the department. One of those, Mr. Speaker, is to continue to strengthen the digitization of the department. As you all may know, the Transport Division is now fully digitized and aligned with the DigiGov. And once you can get online, whether through your NAF or otherwise, you can access all of the services. Pay your driver's license, register your car, pay your vehicular license, and all you need to do is to simply move and collect those licenses when the time comes. We have, Mr. Speaker, established through the GINet, through the ICT Center, service managers who provide that assistance. So you can go in, and when in the dead of night, when it's best to work, you can go in and pay your license and your driver's and vehicular license, and you can pick it up next day at the department. There are still some teeth and problems, but we're working on that to further enhance it. What we have seen is a reduction in the number of persons who are coming, or going rather, to the Ministry of Infrastructure to pay their licenses. And what is happening, more and more people, particularly young people, are accessing the service online. We also have, Mr. Speaker, within the department, conducted a study of what I call public transportation rates, minibus rates, and that was facilitated through the Caribbean Development Bank, and we have now come up with an initiative, or rather a proposal, in terms of negotiating when the time comes with the bus association, when we are negotiating with them what we call the rates for movement of persons throughout the island. Mr. Speaker, another study is being done, and that is a traffic management study in St. Lucia, particularly the city of Castries, where we have seen a bottleneck in transport on a daily basis, Mr. Speaker. Most of our streets are backed up. And we believe there's a need to do a transport study, traffic management study, to see whether the movement of traffic within the city is allowing for a more expeditious traverse through the city. We have been speaking to the Venezuelan government, Mr. Speaker, and they have been able to put together a proposal which they have been eager to come in and to deal with, to create clear strategies to guide land use control and optimize urban mobility and city risk congestion, inefficiency, and reduce quality of life. So that study, Mr. Speaker, once it is approved, the proposal rather, once it will...
Honourable Member, you have 15 minutes left.
Thank you. Once that study is approved, Mr. Speaker, then we'll implement it, and hopefully we'll see an improvement to traffic within the city. There's a simple one, Mr. Speaker, and that is the traffic coming into the city. If you think of the traffic flow in Castries, the Castries Relief Road provides for both north and south directional traffic. Bridge Street provides for both north and south directional. Labrie Street provides for north direction. Pena Street, southern directional traffic. Chisel Street, northern directional. Chaussee Road, north and south directional. And Pena Street is intercepted at Jeremy Street. It's blocked at Jeremy Street, and traffic can only flow southbound only if you get onto Victoria Street, or you're onto High Street. You can then turn right onto Coral Street. I believe, Mr. Speaker, if we can reorient and open up this Coral Street, realign it to Darling Road, to allow for that movement of traffic, Mr. Speaker, you'll have a much greater amount of arteries in and out of the city. So that what is happening now is that all the traffic, Mr. Speaker, whether you come from north and enter the city at the market vendors arcade area, or you come from north and traverse through Vidbutel and end up on Chaussee Road, invariably the traffic all bottlenecks at Jeremy Street. So Darling Road traffic, Chaussee Road traffic, John Compton Highway traffic all ends up in the same location, that bottleneck, Mr. Speaker, near the market. We believe we can make some changes to the directional flow of traffic and ease off the pressure and allow the city to breathe, as I often say. Mr. Speaker, also, we are now looking at a new study which has been done, and that study is intended to review traffic legislation and to determine what is the infrastructure that we would require as far as our traffic is concerned. And we're looking at the potential when the studies all complete together with some of the plans, that we will have some bus terminals, one in the gardens, one in the southern part of Castries in a location that I need to discuss with the PM that will call for some investment, and remove all buses off the sidewalks. Bring all buses into a central location, two central locations, the gardens and south of Castries, and to provide the opportunity for all the vendors in the city to be able to have some concession at those locations and free up the streets with the volume of vending and activity that takes place and parking. That, Mr. Speaker, will soon come. The proposal, that is. In that proposal, Mr. Speaker, we speak of the possibility of the public transportation system being a kind of hybrid between government and private sector by setting up an authority, a public transportation authority, Mr. Speaker, that will be a statutory authority dealing with public transportation. We are being held ransom, Mr. Speaker, whether deliberately or not, in that when 6 o'clock hits, Mr. Speaker, there are certain locations where you cannot get a public transport to get to your home. In the Dennery Basin, it's one. Even in my constituency, after 6 in the evening, you cannot get transport to get home. So we have to modernize the transport system, Mr. Speaker, to have a cashless system, to probably have PPPs with government, to ensure that we provide probably on our main highways, Grosley to Castries, Castries to Viewfort, Castries to the West Coast, Castries to Babonneau, to provide larger buses that can move more people at any given time, have a regular bus service. Is it 8? Is it 8:30? Is it 9? So that people know what time the bus is moving. This business of standing on the wayside for a bus to come when the driver believes it's convenient for him to come is not adding to our productivity in this country. Too many people are getting to work late. Too many people cannot get home after work. We need to revisit it, Mr. Speaker, and to see what mechanisms that we can develop to create a bus system, a public transportation system that allows the involvement of government, bring in larger buses, bring in EV buses, provide regular scheduled services, but still allow those who are operating to continue to operate, but designate the locations where they must operate to provide efficient. But yes, of course, they will be able to use their time more effectively. Because if I own a bus and I'm servicing Babonneau, I will only run from Babonneau to shop. I don't want to get onto the highway. Leave the highway for the larger buses. In addition, we need to start thinking of park and ride situations where we can also offer to people who operate within the city, each person who has a car, an opportunity to park your car and get a decent bus, air-conditioned, comfortable, executive bus to get to the city that can pick you up at any given time when you want to get back to your car, which will be held under security. So, Mr. Speaker, these are some of the initiatives that we are looking at. Mr. Speaker, the other initiative I want to deal with is that of information and broadcasting. I think I have it somewhere here. And Mr. Speaker, the Department of Information and Broadcasting, and that is probably my last, I'll leave all the others another time. You know, the government has taken a deliberate and necessary decision, Mr. Speaker, to restore a critical pillar of national life, the establishment of a modern, fully public national radio service for St. Lucia. And I must take this opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to commend the former minister, the Honorable Ernest Sile, parliamentary representative for Castries. Did I say Ernest? The parliamentary representative for Castries South, who took the initiative to re-establish what should have been, but now is called 97.3 FM. I must thank the minister for his bold initiative, and I'm hoping to piggyback on that initiative to make his dream come true with the establishment of 97.3, quote-unquote, Radio St. Lucia. Honorable members, you will recall that the closure of Radio St. Lucia during the administration of a particular member left a void that has not been filled. The justification at the time framed around unprofitability reflected a fundamental misunderstanding of the role of public broadcasting. But it wasn't unprofitability at all. It was to out a fire. You know what they say? If you want to catch a rat, burn down the house. Burn the house. So the gentleman thought that there was a rat at Radio St. Lucia. So he decided to burn it down, close it down. He will come a little later before you speak. Close it down. And so, Mr. Speaker, a national station is not a commercial venture. It is a public good. Government must be committed and prepared to invest their resources into that public good. When Radio St. Lucia shut down, Mr. Speaker, many people were lamenting that they missed Radio St. Lucia because of the programming, because of the decency, because of the fact that Radio St. Lucia demonstrated responsibility. Now there are more than 25, if not 30. They play anything, anyhow. Nobody's controlling. The public broadcast, rather, the information bill, when we bring it around, will have to do that censorship. Mr. Speaker, today, no existing broadcaster in St. Lucia carries that mandate, the mandate that Radio St. Lucia carried, in a comprehensive and sustained way. We have, as a result, lost more than an assigned frequency. We have lost a platform of our stories, our culture, our history, a repository of our history, and a trusted channel in times of national importance, hurricanes, deaths, etc., etc. That's what we lost, Mr. Speaker, while the gentleman was going after Shelton Daniel. Mr. Speaker,
Member,
sorry,
just,
Mr. Speaker.
Just so that you don't lose any more time.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. You give me more time, Mr. Speaker? I'll be finished in a while, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I've initiated a process to follow up on where the former minister left. And that is to establish a national public radio service, 97.3, anchored in a new and dedicated Department of Information and Broadcasting. Alongside the GIS-NTN, a multidisciplinary committee which will be convened to develop the policy, legislative, and operational framework to guide this effort. That, Mr. Speaker, will be done in tandem to the broader spectrum of information and broadcasting. Critically, we are departing from the failed hybrid model of the past. the new national broadcaster will be fully publicly funded with appropriate legislative protections and secure its continuity and shield it from arbitrary closure. No one should close the public broadcaster. The public broadcaster is the asset of the people, and it must be used by every government regardless to communicate, to propagate your information, to allow people to be aware of what is going on. We are also advancing a governance structure that will guarantee editorial independence, because a public broadcaster must serve the people, not the government of the day. And I'm saying this proudly, because I know this government will ensure that there'll be no interference like the last one. Mr. Speaker, we must have quality broadcasting. We must have our own BBC, to depend on them for proper information, for proper journalism, for documentaries into our history, into our people. Too often we simply wait when it's independence time to uplift or raise those persons who have made such contributions. We do not bring them out and profile them and allow them to at least relate their stories. What did they go through? Their lifetime stories, their professional stories, their stories of service to the country, Mr. Speaker. Sir Julian Hunt, I was proud to see him here during the week. Very proud to see him. A man who came from humble beginnings, from La Passe in Castries North. Okay?
La Passe is central, excuse me.
I allow you to borrow it for a little while, but I mean, but Mr. Speaker, the point I'm making, Mr. Speaker, is the fact that we must have a broadcaster that can exploit those resources that we have within our population. People like Sir Julian, who served, as I said, humble beginnings, built his own empire, became the mayor of Castries, etc., etc., big in the JC's movement, he became leader of the opposition, made his contribution to Gros-Islet. He used his own resources, Mr. Speaker, for the people of Gros-Islet, and made it the constituency that it became, Mr. Speaker. He is there in his, castle, and everybody seemed to be forgetting about him. I was proud to see him here the other day. And so, Mr. Speaker, we are saying critically, we are departing from the failed hybrid model of the past. The new national broadcaster will be fully publicly funded, which I've said already. This initiative will also attempt to address the recovery of preservation of our national audio heritage. Mr. Speaker, a lot of audio, a lot of tapes, pneumatic and other tapes, were just thrown away. Information that tells us who we are, information to understand who we are, information that can inspire our young people. So while we speak about young people out there who are going rogue, probably going to jail and ready to condemn them, we should have that information that we can put out through the national broadcaster to be able to inspire our people so that they themselves can aspire to higher heights. That is what we want to do, Mr. Speaker, and I know that the Prime Minister will support me in this initiative. Mr. Speaker, this initiative is not simply about re-establishing a radio station. It is about restoring a national institution, one that informs, one that educates, one that reflects who we are and supports where we are going as a people. We are laying the foundation, Mr. Speaker, to carefully and deliberately to ensure that what is built will endure. This, Mr. Speaker, ends that aspect of my presentation. And in closing, I want to say thank you to all those who have been instrumental and who have contributed to me personally, who I am, and to the work that I've done in the Castries North constituency. It started at Castries Northeast. Well, this is why I said Sir Julian came from Castries North, because I gave Castries Central a part of Castries Northeast. Those persons who have made me, those people I rely on, those people I depend on, those people I trust, those people I take for granted, those people who believe in me, those people no matter what, election after election, they have given me support. I want to also, Mr. Speaker, thank those who work with me at the Ministry of Infrastructure, the past permanent secretaries, Ivor Daniel, Lenita Joseph, the current PS, Lauren Matthew, all the officers, the chief engineer, the chief engineers, Mr. Jean-Baptiste and Renata Fulgence McKee. All of those, Mr. Speaker, who have worked with me throughout the years, I want to thank them. I want to thank the Minister for the grace with which he has accepted the Department of Infrastructure. And the Minister, you know, Mr. Speaker, give me 1 second, I'll tell you. The Minister has a very unique part of him, or behavior of him. This morning he more or less, Mr. Speaker, walked in so forcefully through the door, we thought you were coming. But you know, he said to me, Mr. Speaker, that when he went to the Ministry of Infrastructure, and he said he's coming in to do the work, continue the work that I started, he looked at me a few weeks later and he said, I went to the ministry, you took out the infra and you left structure. I can't do anything. But Mr. Speaker, that's the humor in him. I want to thank him with the grace with which he has accepted the responsibility and the manner in which he has conducted himself as Minister for Infrastructure. He does what I doesn't do, and that is to be out there with my camera every step of the way in all that I commit myself and I do in my job. And so, Mr. Speaker, let me finally thank my family. I noticed my wife is here. She walked in with another member of Parliament. I don't know. I had to tell them. So I want to thank her for the support she has given me throughout the years, throughout my political career. I want to thank my daughter who is in New York, and I'm sure she's listening. And later on, she will more or less critique my presentation. She critiqued my presentation in Parliament, and I critique her singing at church, because she sings in church. I want to thank her for her courage and for accepting me for who I am as a politician and the work that I do, the sacrifices that I make, and the commitment to the cause for the people. I want to thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I support wholeheartedly, unwaveringly, with the loudest voice, this appropriation bill 2026-27. I thank you.
Member for Castries Southeast.
I'm shaking the gas.
All right, Danny, come on. Come through.
Where's the whiskey? Mr. Deputy Speaker, it's nice to see you in the chair as my predecessor. I'll do my best to follow in your footsteps. Good afternoon, colleagues. Mr. Deputy, I rise in full and unwavering support of the appropriation bill for the period 2026-2027 as presented by the Honorable Prime Minister, Minister for Finance, under the powerful theme, consolidating our gains, prospering in uncertain times. Mr. Speaker, today is yet another milestone for me, as I have presented on 5 policy debates thus far. But this 6-1, Mr. Speaker, is my first as a member of the House of Assembly after being duly elected by the wonderful people of Castries Southeast. And so today, I do not stand here alone. I stand here carrying their voice, their struggles, their hopes, and their mandate for more progress under this government. To the people of Castries Southeast, Mr. Speaker, I thank you, I honor you, and I will not fail you. Mr. Speaker, in Castries Southeast, we do not wait for opportunity, we create it. Last Sunday, we held the unofficial opening of jazz, the Hills and Valleys Inspirational Jazz held at the Bexar Playing Field for the 3rd consecutive year. And I want to pause for a moment to thank my colleague, my predecessor, Honorable Joachim Henry, for ensuring he supported this event for 2 years prior. Mr. Speaker, of course, I want to thank my colleagues who came to support and those who sent their regards. It was a very rainy day, but most of them stayed till the end. Mr. Speaker, the talent that exists in Castries Southeast is bursting at the seams. And what we witnessed was not just another event, but a declaration of talent, culture, community, and strength. Mr. Speaker, that energy will not end there, as I have already consulted with my team, and we will roll out our own Castries Southeast Music Academy, which will conduct training and coaching in voice training, strings, and percussion instruments, and will end with a Castries Southeast Rising Stars. You may have remembered long time ago we had a Rising, everybody have awards. We're going to have Rising Stars in Castries Southeast, where our top talent will receive scholarships, recording contracts to take their talent to the next level. Mr. Speaker, I want the constituents of Castries Southeast to know that nation building is not just done in Parliament, it is done in our communities. We've already had successes with Miss Anshel Biru, who has roots in Forestier, now resides in Babono, Miss Krista Bailey of Geno, and of course Shirley Ann Cyril Myers, an award-winning icon, all of whom have performed on the grand stage at the St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival. Mr. Speaker, hopefully next year we will have another person from our constituency who we can be proud of. And so lastly on this, Mr. Speaker, and you will see it on the screen, I wish to especially thank the members of the committee, the volunteers, persons who are dedicated to the success and development of their constituency, who did not work to get paid, but worked to ensure their constituency continues to soar. Miss Kathleen Cadet Andrew, Chairwoman of the Hills and Valleys Inspirational Jazz Committee, Mr. Shem Biru, Solange Edwards, Roger Joseph, Tanika Edwin, Ian Hippolyte, Nazan Hutchinson, Charmaine Pierre, and Danalee Esteva. All of the other volunteers, I wish to say thank you for your hard work and service. Mr. Speaker, drawing reference to the Prime Minister's budget address, I know I spoke extensively last month on the debate of estimates of revenue and expenditure, but I want to thank the Honorable Prime Minister and members of this Honorable House who have already commenced work in Castries Southeast. Under health infrastructure, we are seeing work has already commenced on the Lakwa Mengo Health Facility. Thank you, Honorable Member. In educational infrastructure, I have been reliably informed that very soon the community of Tiroche will get an upliftment in their early childhood center. Tourism infrastructure, of course, I know the member who is our neighbor, the member of Castries South, and I will be in caucus in chambers and hold our secrets as we allow our constituencies to rise together. In sports infrastructure, and I received a message for whoever had to speak next from the Member of Parliament for Grosile, the Minister for Youth Development and Sports, who has offered some breaking news that St. Lucia continues to progress in sports. And congratulations to St. Mary's College on winning their heats in the 4x100 meter at the Penn Relays. It is the first time a St. Lucian school has accomplished this. Well done to our young men. Mr. Speaker, under social investments, I really wanted to share my voice on this, and I realize it has become an issue of concern, of course, in the general public, in the public sphere. Many are wondering, why is it that the government is only giving $1,000 towards the development or towards support of mothers who will be expecting from August this year? But there are so many other mothers, particularly from my constituency, who have called me, Mr. Speaker, since the Prime Minister announced that, and have congratulated and thanked this government, because for them it is not just $1,000. It is the fact that they did not have to pay facilities fees. It is the fact that they now have no time, they don't have to pay for any CXCs for their child. It is the fact that some of those households, they are recipients of first-generation scholarships, unprecedented in the history of education development in this country. It is the fact that this government has issued the most number of scholarships, and it is the fact that we continue to invest in our pregnant mothers by ensuring that universal health coverage, they don't have to pay for ultrasounds, they don't have to pay for lab tests, cervical cancer screening is free. And so, including the NIC contributions, this support from this administration under our policy proposals are just the icing on the cake as to the support we continue to give mothers in this country. So I want to thank the Prime Minister for his efforts in recognizing this gap and ensuring that it is filled. Mr. Speaker, TVET transformation, I'm very glad that the member for Vieux-Fort South spoke on TVET transformation, because we will be working very closely with his ministry and the TVET technical officers to provide some support to the School of Sustainable Agriculture and Culinary Arts in Dennery North. So we are coming, education. Mr. Speaker, as you know, I have been given the responsibility to oversee the implementation of the government's policies across 2 departments. And so I will offer our ministry's policy position for the year 2026-2027. Under sustainable development, Mr. Speaker, St. Lucia is on the front lines of climate change. We are a small island, but we are not a weak nation. We are a nation that refuses to be defeated by our circumstances, and so we have acted. Mr. Speaker, we passed the Climate Change Act of 2024, and I want to pause for a moment to congratulate the member for Dennery North, the former Minister of Sustainable Development, for his hard work in ensuring this bill was passed in Parliament. Revolutionary, Mr. Speaker. We submitted our NDC 3.0 ahead of the world under his leadership. Mr. Speaker, we aim to achieve all of this through enhanced deployment of wind and solar energy with battery storage, upgrades to our national energy grid infrastructure. I know the member for Chazelle and I will work very closely on that. And our continued efforts to improve energy efficiency and enhance uptake of electrical vehicles, and you'll hear some big announcements on this coming soon. Mr. Speaker, in St. Lucia, whilst we have continued to strengthen our laws, protect our biodiversity, and build systems, we must ensure that our people are protected, our environment is preserved, and our future is secured. Because climate change is not a theory. It is an existential threat. And I know Prime Minister is very passionate on that as the lead Prime Minister on sustainable development and what he intends to do so we can reduce our carbon footprint and build resilience against disasters in our country. Mr. Speaker, just closing off on sustainable development, I must also make mention of the intended institutional strengthening of the St. Lucia Solid Waste Management Authority. In this fiscal year, we will construct a pre-engineered metal frame building at the Dayglow Sanitary Landfill to house the fleet of heavy-duty equipment owned by the authority. Of course, we must be able to protect what we have and reduce our exposure to environmental degradation and vandalism. Mr. Speaker, the former Minister for Sustainable Development, the member for Dennery North, had previously brought to Cabinet a document on the acquisition of a vehicle crusher to transform derelict and unused vehicles parked especially on our roadsides that create a hazard and a nuisance to the public. I want to assure him, Mr. Speaker, through you, that I will continue the good work that he has started. Mr. Speaker, and now to agriculture. Mr. Speaker, moi vle oui monsieur de secrétaire agricole et environnement, Mr. Bradley Setage et Madame Anita Montout, pour tout ça yo ka fait pour mener agricole devant. Mr. Speaker, Premier Ministre ba moi un mandate pour nous mettre agricole devant un pays ça là. Et toutes ces péchés, toutes ces femmes, toutes même cette ici, nous toutes, nous kay travail wed pour nous mettre agricole devant ensemble, nous kay mettre au mener agricole plus haut. I don't need to translate because everybody in this room understands Creole. Mr. Speaker, we're at a time when the world is uncertain, when global conflicts disrupt supply chains, when food prices rise beyond our control, and when small nations like ours are forced to confront a simple truth: dependence is vulnerability. Mr. Speaker, it is high time that our vulnerabilities become our strength. And today, this government has chosen a new path. A path of resilience, self-reliance, and national strength. Mr. Speaker, I rise not merely to present policies, but to unveil a bold transformational national blueprint, a green revolution agenda. An agenda, Mr. Speaker, where food will no longer be imported insecurity. Farmers will no longer be struggling survivors, and fishers would not need to be vulnerable to every storm. The agenda that we want, Mr. Speaker, is one where agriculture becomes wealth, fisheries become opportunity, climate resilience becomes our shield, and food becomes our national power. Mr. Speaker, our mission is clear: food security for all, no one left behind. And you would realize in every presentation so far, we are all singing the same song. Mr. Speaker, we have taken this approach because the reality is we cannot control global wars, we cannot control foreign inflation or shipping costs. But what we can control, what we have control over, is our ability to feed ourselves. So let me take you through a very quick journey on this green revolution for the agricultural sector, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have a problem that we need to solve. Our import bill is $564 million. $564 million, over $500 million. And that is not just a statistic on a page, Mr. Speaker. That is money leaving our country every year. It is income that should be multiplying. But let me say something, Mr. Speaker. Food imports, or tackling the food import bill, does not begin with the ministry alone. It begins in the home. It begins with the one who cares for the household, the one who goes to the shops, who chooses what enters the kitchen. The mother, perhaps, who can choose local over imports. Mr. Speaker, every time a St. Lucian farmer or family chooses local dashing over imported starch, local fish over imported ones, local fruits over foreign substitutes, etc. They are participating in nation building. And this is $564 million, Mr. Speaker, that I want to see circulating in Dennery North and South amongst our fishers, in Choiseul with our potato farmers, in Groselet with our hydroponics and aquaponics systems that can tackle droughts in areas such as Labon, in Soufre, in Miku, in all 17 constituencies of this great country, Mr. Speaker. That money can contribute to our national development. What we need clearly is a national reset. We need a national level of transformation. And just recently, Mr. Speaker, we were having a conversation, and I realized a former Minister for Agriculture came very well prepared, wearing his green today. Also, I noticed the member for Dennery North has a green tie, the member for Soufre has a green jacket. It seems they got the memo. And you have green socks? All right. And Mr. Speaker, we were all having this conversation, and the member for Beaufort North said something that was so powerful and kept with me that the rest of that night. For us to be able to make the change, it will require more than talk. It will require public awareness campaigns. It will require a change in our mind shift and a change in our culture, because we are so used to importing every single thing that we need, Mr. Speaker. But I know that this government has already made some gains, and I want to pause just for a moment to speak on that. Mr. Speaker, I reflect on a time when there was a monocrop out of St. Lucia, when banana trucks were lining up at the ports, when the mothers would stay at home or head to the boxing plant. I grew up in and around that. I see somebody in the audience here who can attest to that. His mother was one of the strongest female farmers in Forestier. Mr. Mufilus James is here with us. Mr. Speaker, that time our green gold ran this country. And whilst the former government was never able to deliver on their promise of sending bananas to France, or trusting our farmers to be able to manage money at the time, this government has said to the farmers of St. Lucia that we believe and we trust you. And so, immediately upon assuming this post, the first thing I had to do was take myself and travel to where the importers reside. I went across to Barbados under the approval of the Prime Minister, and I met with St. Lucia's two biggest importers of bananas, Mr. Harrow and Mr. Butcher. Mr. Harrow is on my right, Caucasian gentleman, and Mr. Butcher and his daughter on the extreme left. Mr. Butcher and his family have been importing bananas from St. Lucia since 2000, Mr. Speaker. And they give their stories of how they've been importing bananas from other countries like the Dominican Republic, like Suriname, etc. And the quality is good. But they tell me there's just one thing about the St. Lucia banana. It is the sweetest, Mr. Speaker. And when I heard that, it gave me hope. It made me feel like if the world is still in demand for our bananas, our green gold, we may not necessarily get back to exactly where we were. But this Minister for Agriculture will do everything in her power to try to ensure that we continue to recognize the hard work of our farmers in this country and never do away with bananas as some administrations before wanted to do. Speaking of successes, Mr. Speaker, over 120,000 seedlings and seeds have been distributed. 9,000 bags of fertilizer have been acquired, and very soon we will get instructions from the Prime Minister so we can distribute those. 1,000 water tanks were given last time, and we recently acquired an additional 375, all in our efforts to improve drought resilience and engage in rainwater harvesting systems. Over 1 million in direct farmer support, major investments in the fisheries sector, including the rehabilitation of various fish landing sites island-wide, 42 greenhouses installed, Mr. Speaker. A greenhouse nowadays is about $20,000. But the government saw it fitting and engaged and procured these items for our farmers. Of course, I always have to remember to thank my member on my right, the former Minister for Agriculture, for securing the foundation and paving the way. Mr. Speaker, I mentioned just this few because this is the foundation upon which we launch our next phase. And I will briefly touch on 10 pillars of our Green Revolution plan. 1, agriculture innovation. 2, climate resilience. 3, banana and plantain sector revitalization. 4, fisheries infrastructure revitalization, resilience in the blue economy, livestock expansion, crop expansion, food production, youth and women in agriculture, sustainable food security and import substitution. Mr. Speaker, it might sound very long, but it's very important because our food security is our national security, and I take this very seriously. Mr. Speaker, under Pillar 1, innovation and technology, we are building a ministry that is modern, digital, data-driven, and efficient. This year, the Ministry of Agriculture will launch a national agricultural digital platform to house our farmer and fishers registry, and of course to register the crops that they produce. The former Minister for Agriculture worked with the ministry for the development of an iFarm app alongside the Taiwanese government. And this year we will launch the iFarm app, which will allow farmers to communicate directly with the ministry, obtain feedback on farming practices, and allow the ministry to track their production yields for local consumption and export. Currently, Mr. Speaker, the data is lacking a bit, but we will engage in training our stakeholders and crop extension officers so they are fully aware of how to deal with that. Mr. Speaker, I am told that the Ministry of Agriculture does not yet have any services available on the DigiGov platform. This year, we will work alongside the Minister with responsibility for the public service to see how quickly we can achieve this. Perhaps e-permits and licensing systems. Many of our farmers can spend a whole lot more time on their fields. They take a long time to come to cash trees, wait to see an extension officer, wait to see somebody in the ministry, fill out a form, go back and forth. Mr. Speaker, perhaps we can allow them a bit more time on the ground and make this digital so it can be available just at their fingertips. Similarly to how you apply for a license online, you may be able to apply for some incentives or a farmer's license online as well. Mr. Speaker, this one I am extremely passionate about. This Ministry of Agriculture will launch a national agri-talent mapping program. And this is a nationwide skills audit of persons involved in agriculture. So we register their skills, education, capacity, whether as a farmer, fisher, agro-processor, researcher, student, or youth in agriculture. A lot of our young people go to school. And since I became Minister for Agriculture, I've gotten a ton of emails. Either people want to buy land or they want to know where government has land so they can, engage in agriculture work. Or they've told me that, I have a bachelor's in agri-finance or a master's in agro-processing, but now I work in a bank because I could not have gotten a job before. Mr. Speaker, there is no lack of talent in the field of agriculture in this country, but we need to know where our people are. And I prefer working with our local consultants as best as we can because we know that we only can produce brilliant minds in this great country. Mr. Speaker, we will expand agri-tech in St. Lucia, and I know Prime Minister is very passionate about that one in ensuring that innovation is placed in agriculture so it becomes more interesting. He has announced a grant of $250,000 to the Center for Agriculture Development and Innovation at the South Louis Community College to improve their agricultural unit. The hydroponic farming program at the Union propagation site will be reformed as we establish additional demonstration and training systems. And he gave us more money for that, Mr. Speaker. A big mandate, but I know he's passionate about it. And even speaking of hydroponics, I know earlier Mr. James was teased a bit about it. Mr. James has been one who has had extensive experience in not just hydroponics, but in aquaponics. And it is such a unique way of using the waste of the fish to serve as nutrients for the crops. And I want to really commend him and his team and the committee, well, the Persons of National Disabilities Committee, for the hard work that they have done to ensure that they continue to innovate in agriculture, Mr. Speaker. Sometimes persons with disabilities may feel hampered because of their inability to move about. But with innovation in agriculture, everything is possible. Mr. Speaker, speaking of innovation, our ministry will soon roll out our plan for hobby farming in St. Lucia. Prime Minister spoke of that as well, particularly in urban areas like Castries Central, Castries East, and I want to assure the member for Castries North that you will be given great consideration as well. I think that is very important, Mr. Speaker. I've gotten a few videos of people having their farms on their rooftops. Even in the CDC, you can have a little farm. I think it's incredible what we can do if we are able to grow what we eat. Mr. Speaker, of course, I did mention we will reintroduce aquaponics. You would have remembered the Taiwanese model of shrimp and tilapia farming. A major challenge was how exposed the shrimp farms were. And so the birds will come into the shock union site and, of course, consume them. We found various ways to be able to protect them. And so I want our shrimp and tilapia farmers to get ready. Mr. Speaker, of course, we intend to use more technology in farming, drones, automated systems, rainwater harvesting, and concepts being introduced not just at the agri-business side, but also at the primary and secondary school levels. Mr. Speaker, in this 21st century, we cannot manage agriculture with 20th century models. And if we are serious about productivity in this country and being competitiveness and achieving food security, we have to embrace innovation. Mr. Speaker, you remember a time when you had to wind up your window so you would not get wet by the rain. Nowadays, you just press a button and the window goes up. But this is not about vehicles. This is about innovation and where the world is going. And of course, St. Lucia cannot be left behind. Mr. Speaker, climate resilience in agriculture. I spoke a bit earlier about that. And you would have noted what happened in our neighboring islands of, well, Dominica under Hurricane Maria and Beryl in St. Vincent. Mr. Speaker, whilst we say St. Lucia is special, we do not have a wall around us that can prevent us from the impact of a Category 5 hurricane. But what we can do, or what we have access to, is how we build our resilience. And so, we will provide support from the ministry to strengthen farms, improve water storage systems, protect our soil, and modernize our infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, fortunately for us in this dry season, we had rain almost every day. But you can imagine what it would have been like if we did not have rain. Is now the people would be asking for water tanks. But thank God, Prime Minister is focused on rainwater harvesting. And so this will be the mantra of the ministry throughout. I highly suspect the Prime Minister is the de facto Minister for Agriculture, you know. Just how passionate he is about it. He's a farmer, right? He's a farmer. Mr. Speaker, this year, some of the policy measures we will continue include the BRACVAS component. We are constructing a green agro park for regions 6 and 7. I know the member who has oversight for the Roseau area is very excited about that. He's been asking about the plans and the designs. And the real goal of this, Mr. Speaker, is to ensure that we are able to build climate resilience in agriculture. And this will really be a model for our constituencies on how we can grow certain crops in different soil, in different climates, etc. Mr. Speaker, we will also provide some support to communities that are vulnerable to droughts like Labon and Grosile. And of course, communities like mine, Castries, Southeast, Odsa, and Cul-de-Sac. We know that area is always flooded. We have to find ways to transform our vulnerabilities into our opportunities, Mr. Speaker. And lastly, under this, we will construct, or we will look at upgrading 5 aquaculture ponds so we can ensure that we diversify in agriculture. Mr. Speaker, banana and plantain sector revitalization as pillar 3. It is so important for us to focus on that, and I refuse to be the minister that decides to do away with bananas, Mr. Speaker. I cannot understand why some governments or some persons in politics would have made certain pronouncements and have taken this sector very lightly. Because even as a child, I remember going down to the St. Lucia marketing board with my father with our little sacks of tomatoes or sweet potatoes, really trying our best when we could not plant bananas. But Mr. Speaker, in as much as this industry faces a lot of existential threats from climate hazards, disease pressures, and the black cicatoga, last year we had some challenges and the government responded immediately and procured 66,000 gallons of spray oil. I want to assure the Prime Minister that we have already placed our order to ensure that our banana farmers do not have to experience this year. This year, to revitalize bananas, we are establishing a national task force for a reset and revitalization. We are strengthening the Pradia Larceny unit. We've already identified someone to head that department, a former police officer. We will have 13 special police constables, 3 support staff, and a project coordinator under this unit. We are going to renew the parametric insurance coverage for banana and plantain farmers of $1 million that was started under my predecessor. And we will continue to strengthen the BMU, the Banana Management Unit, and NADAF, as the Minister for Commerce said, the National Diagnostic Facility, as he intends to use it a lot for his agro-processing under his Department of Industry and Commerce. Under fisheries infrastructure, Mr. Speaker, this government has already delivered in fuel rebate support, vessel tracking systems, and we will be launching a few more tracking systems, fish aggregate devices, FADs, and I want to tell the member for Vieux-Fort South and the member for Choiseul to just relax, because they were very nervous about the promises they made about the FADs. Last night, not bad news, great news. Last night, I received a message that the materials were shipped and will be on island next week. All goes well. So Choiseul, Vieux-Fort, Dennery South, Prale has us, Grosile asking for FADs. Prime Minister, we need more money for fisheries. But they will be getting them. And the good thing about that, Mr. Speaker, is that we have people who are capable of building those FADs right in St. Lucia. We don't have to hire a consultant. Our fishers are they're experts in that field, Mr. Speaker. In addition to that, some of which was started by the previous minister and some of which continues already, and I got a picture of your fisheries of Vieux-Fort South. I see vehicles parking there already, so congratulations. I realize your whole surface has already been redone. The rehabilitation of the Grosile Fisheries Facility, 136,000. Savans Bay Jetty repairs, 82,000. Dennery Fisheries upgrades, 80,000. Rehabilitation of locker rooms and fishers markets in Choiseul, 120,000. Procurement of systems for Castries Fisheries, 100,000. Construction of Miku Fisheries Administrative Building, 106,000. Upgrades to ancillary fish landing site, 80,000. Rehabilitation of Soufre Fishers Market, 96,000. Mr. Speaker, we will also aim to address abandoned facilities in Prale. And whilst we don't have the additional funding as yet, we know that where there's a will, there's a way. We'll walk through the 4 corners of this earth to give the fishers of Prale the facility that has been abandoned for over a decade. Mr. Speaker, the Castries fisheries, we have to remove the asbestos roofing. It's going to cost us about $800,000. And of course, to do what we can to $800,000, yes, because you have to remove it, you have to dispose of it properly, because you can't put it anywhere, it can get into the environment. But we will do what we can to ensure we have broader resilience in that sector, Mr. Speaker. Under Pillar 5, resilience in the blue economy. Mr. Speaker, I spoke of climate change and the risks that it poses, especially to our fishing operations and our aquaculture facilities. And some of the measures that we will implement this year, our policy measures, will be, of course, to continue the Fish Adapt project, Mr. Member for Castries North, Fish Adapt. Upgrade to boat ramps, jetties, storage buildings, processing sites, and aquaculture facilities to enhance climate resilience. We will improve the safety of our fishing operations and design of our marine infrastructure. Of course, it is very interesting, and I'm very happy to see this, that we are going to be expanding financial support to our fishers and farmers, and we will have more discussions as it relates to pension plans and insurance for them, Mr. Speaker. Of course, we will talk a little more about how we will remove the structural barriers for female fishers. I had a meeting last Friday with some of our fishers, and it was interesting because, you know, Friday is usually a day that you don't expect a lot of people to come to work. And we met with them about 3 o'clock, and every single fisheries cooperative in St. Lucia was represented at that meeting. And it was very refreshing to hear how they felt about the sector and where they wanted to go. Of course, we're not just a minister in high heels, hustling in high heels. We are flourishing in our boots as well. Under Pillar 6, livestock expansion and modernization. Mr. Speaker, we must close this big structural gap in our livestock sector, because some UWP government thought it was such a brilliant idea to destroy the one processing facility that we had in this country. And I'm talking about the abattoir, which was replaced with a horse track on the DSH lands. And nothing made my heart feel so good when I heard the Minister for Investment yesterday gave the assurance to the member of Beaufort South that this government will do what it takes, whatever legal process we must follow to ensure that the land is returned to the people of St. Lucia. But Mr. Speaker, whilst this has happened, we cannot just stay there and feel comfortable and continue with the blame game. But we'll never forget what they did and how they did not prioritize our farmers. Mr. Speaker, we've already begun the conversation with Invest St. Lucia in sourcing land so we can soon construct a national meat processing facility. I will soon be coming to the Honorable House, to the Cabinet of Ministers, to share what our plan for this is. And following the approval, we will work to ensure that we have a national abattoir in St. Lucia through the construction of a national meat processing facility. Mr. Speaker, at that facility, we will include modern slaughter systems, cold storage and packing, food safety certification, that is so important, and value-added meat production. We'll work very closely with the Department of Commerce so we can have vacuum-sealed portions of our meat, locally made sausages, chicken nuggets, cured meats, all of these things to contribute to our self-sufficiency as we rise and work together to attain food security in this country, Mr. Speaker. There's so much we can do beyond the raw product, but with the value added. Mr. Speaker, of course, this will create more jobs. It will support our farmers and reduce our importation of meat in our country. I know the butchers of Castries Southeast are looking forward to this, Mr. Speaker, and so we will work very closely to ensure that national meat processing facilities not only delivered for them, but for butchers island-wide, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, our work in the livestock sector continues. We have the completion this year, the completion of the new swine and small ruminants pens at Volette Agricultural Station. We have allocated 75,000 towards that. Establishment and rehabilitation of pastures, irrigation systems, 350,000. Rehabilitation of pens, 200,000. Construction of chemical storage facilities, 75,000. Strengthening of our AI labs, and AI is not artificial intelligence, but in this case is artificial insemination. There was a time where we had to ship our containers to other countries so we can get the genes for artificial insemination in St. Lucia. We will soon, with the acquisition of a nitrogen plant, and Prime Minister has given us the funding for that, we'll be able to do our own artificial insemination in our country. And I know Dr. Melville and her team are very excited about that. The veterinary team are very excited about that. Mr. Speaker, we are winding down with pillar number 7, tree crop rehabilitation and expansion. Mr. Speaker, we must move aggressively to expand our tree crop production and rehabilitate our existing orchards. You've realized you can't find much citrus in St. Lucia like you used to because we are experiencing some challenges with, well, some diseases on our leaves. And with tree crops such as avocado, mango, soursop, coconut, and breadfruit, we have strong domestic and export potential. Additionally, vine and root crops such as pumpkin, sweet potato, ginger, cassava, dasheen, yellow yams are in demand. A structured expansion program will help us diversify, Mr. Speaker. And already we are scaling production. It started under him and it will continue with me. We've already identified over 100 acres of land for new cultivation, of which 40 acres will benefit from irrigation expansion in the first phase. Mr. Speaker, this year the ministry will rehabilitate these old orchards for citrus rehabilitation and disease eradication. We've allocated 450,000 for that. We will continue to provide farmers with seedlings, fertilizer, herbicides, and planting assistance. We will strengthen our propagation systems. We will prepare 50,000 sweet potato slips for distribution, and I know the farmers from Choiseul are looking forward to that. We will distribute 20,000, a little over 20,000 fruit trees and over 50,000 root crop seedlings for the cultivation of other root crops, including cassava, yam, and crops that are competitive when scaled up through agro-processing. Mr. Speaker, I must tell you that I am very grateful that the Prime Minister has told us, not just in cabinet, but everywhere we go, that government should no longer operate in silos. And I'm very grateful for the support from the Minister for Commerce, because sometimes there seems to be a little cross and a little confusion where agriculture, inputs, and agro-processing is concerned. But usually the inputs, the production starts with agriculture, and the value added and processing and export resides with his ministry and, of course, his Department of Export, St. Lucia.
Remember, you have 15 minutes left.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under Pillar 8, food production expansion. Mr. Speaker, this year, the ministry will implement a targeted national food production program for 2026-2030. We will also adopt a national food security and crisis management plan. COVID has taught us a lot, but we should move very quickly and action some of our lessons from COVID-19. I recently traveled to Barbados and Brazil and met with some stakeholders who are drying up or dehydrating their rice, their peas, and even their meat in packets that I think even members from our SSU department uses, or persons who are, or some of our soldiers globally. But Mr. Speaker, when a natural disaster or natural disaster hits, you may not have time to go to the garden or go to the farm to pick some produce. But if we are able to package and store some produce for the event of a national disaster, we must have that in our crisis management plan for our national food security. Of course, Mr. Speaker, and I'm very passionate about this one, and we will see some strength being added to that department, the role of the St. Lucia Marketing Board to serve as an aggregate house for farmers, whilst adding agro-processing components to allow for freezing packaging of foods such as dasheen. Mr. Speaker, some time ago, and I realized that was in the supermarket for a very short period. There was a time I'd go to the supermarket and you'd get slices of dasheen, of green fig, frozen. You don't find that as much as before, Mr. Speaker, and it's already peeled. These days, Canada, all of these countries are asking us for our soursop. They want us to peel it. They want us to remove the seeds too. They want our yams. They want our pineapples, Mr. Speaker. Everything they want from St. Lucia, because it seems St. Lucia just has the best of the best. Our honey is exotic, our sea moss is exotic, and everything that is produced from this country is very highly sought after. Even our cocoa. I hear Mars Chocolate is buying out some cocoa establishments in St. Lucia as well. That is just so remarkable, Mr. Speaker. And of course, we will continue to support our sea moss, honey, and pineapple sectors, as I mentioned. Mr. Speaker, speaking of the agro-processing, I had to mention this earlier. The Minister for Commerce and he called a meeting with our Ministry of Agriculture because we wanted to get some clarity on our role in the agricultural sector moving forward. Of course, as I mentioned, sometimes there might be a fine line. We're responsible for the agricultural inputs, and his department takes it to the next level with industry. And we recently met with the Department of Commerce, as you can see in the photos on the screen, Export St. Lucia, the Small Business Organization, and other entities, so we can work together on how the agro park is going to work and his business incubator ideas, Mr. Speaker. So once again, I want to place on record my thanks and appreciation for how quickly he was able to pull this together. Mr. Speaker, of course, in the Prime Minister's budget address, he has instructed us to ensure that we continue to strengthen our market linkages between the hospitality sector and with the supermarkets. Mr. Speaker, in the past, we've worked with governments, the India government, the government of Taiwan, and I have mentioned that in as much as St. Lucia cannot produce every single thing, we will do what we can to ensure that we can at least feed ourselves. Our goal is simply to help our farming families build their assets and engage in wealth creation. There's nothing wrong with that, Mr. Speaker. Youth and women in agriculture. We know that no green revolution can succeed without the energy of youth and the strength of our women. And Mr. Speaker, some of our young people, as I mentioned, they studied sciences and they grew up in farms and they could not find jobs except for planting and engaging in production. And I spoke earlier about persons with disabilities. We'll continue to work with organizations like the Persons with Disabilities organizations, with the Minister with Responsibility for Disabilities, with the Minister's Responsibility for TVET, with the Minister with Responsibility for Tourism. One of our agro-tourism farmers was nominated for Jimmy's recently. And of course, we want to see that taken to the next level, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I will move on very closely and go to Pillar 10, very quickly, and go to Pillar 10. And the Prime Minister spoke of a Love St. Lucia campaign. And we want the Prime Minister to know, Mr. Speaker, that we hear him loud and clear. And under sustainable food security and import substitution, we have to really do some introspection, Mr. Speaker, and think about the effects that these foods, Mr. Minister for Nutrition, I know you are passionate about that. The food with high preservatives, high salt, high sugar intake, the high level of obesity in our schools, the high level of non-communicable diseases, hypertension, heart disease, all of these things are mostly impacted by the foods that we put into our bodies, Mr. Speaker. And tackling our import bill is not just an economic problem. It is a health problem. It is a developmental problem and a sovereignty problem, Mr. Speaker. And if we want an environment where we have healthier children at the school, we must engage in deep reflection and introspection on what our nation should look like in years to come. And when the Prime Minister introduced the One Banana a Day program, I thought it was an excellent initiative to start with saving our kids for the future, Mr. Speaker. We will continue our efforts in reducing the food import bill through the Taiwanese-supported 7 Crops program started by the previous minister, of course. I've mentioned we will expand our local production in pork, poultry, and root crops. We will establish stronger value chains from production to packaging. I spoke of outfitting the marketing board, Mr. Speaker, and of course the culture mindset shift. Because every dollar that is spent from that $564 million, Mr. Speaker, can support a farmer locally, can support a family, can build our food security. Mr. Speaker, these policies that we have presented on behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Food Security, and Sustainable Development are not just policies for paper. They are policies for the people. We are not just planting crops in this ministry moving forward. We are planting confidence in the people of St. Lucia. We are not just building the systems in the 10-point plan. We are building a self-reliant nation. And this green plan, or this green revolution, it is not just about reducing imports. It is about reclaiming our economic power. Because, Mr. Speaker, lower food prices, more jobs, strong rural communities, more money in circulation, and a greater level of national independence can only benefit the people of St. Lucia. So, Mr. Speaker, if you heard anything I said before, I want you to ponder on what I'm about to say next. It is not just a slogan, but it is a lifestyle, and it must be a lifestyle where all St. Lucians must commit to growing what we eat, to building what we need so we can become who we must. The future of our country cannot be imported, Mr. Speaker. It must be grown here, built here, financed here, and owned here by St. Lucians. So, Mr. Speaker, with these last few words, I invite all members of this honorable House to join me in ensuring that we play our parts in the Love St. Lucia campaign in any way that you can. And under this Ministry of Agriculture, our Love St. Lucia campaign will focus very heavily on growing what we eat, on building what we need so we can become who we must. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I give my full and unwavering support to the presentation of the Prime Minister's 2026-2027 Appropriation Bill for the benefit of the people of St. Lucia. I thank you.
Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I beg that this House stand suspended until 2:15, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, before I put the question, the Leader of Government Business has also informed me that a department of his ministry will be joining us to make a presentation. So I ask, even as you are having your lunch, to alert yourselves to be. Go ahead, Leader of Government.
Honourable members, the Cultural Development Foundation, in promoting and encouraging participation in the arts program for this year's Jazz and Arts Festival, and in particular the event which is taking place tonight and tomorrow in celebration of Chef Harry, the Icon Series event, the dinner. The CDF team has been going around different establishments in Castries and schools as well, promoting arts and culture and the event. So they will be dropping in about 1:30 or so for a short cultural engagement with you whilst you're having your lunch. So I invite everyone to join us downstairs and to celebrate our culture and be part of the Jazz and Arts Festival.
Thank you, Minister. I would caution the member for Viewfort North to stay seated while that presentation is taking place. Honourable members, the question is that this House do stand suspended until 2:15 p.m. And now put the question, as many as of that opinion say aye. As many as of a contrary opinion say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Sitting suspended.
So there we have it. The sitting of the House of Assembly has been suspended until 2:15 p.m. today, a 2:15, as definitely the members will be having lunch, and then when they return, we still have those who have not yet spoken, and they would be Honorable Wayne Girard, Honorable Richard Frederick, and Honorable Alva Baptist. We have not heard from them as yet, and of course there is also the lone member of the opposition leader, Alan Chasney. The last speaker that we heard from was the minister responsible for agriculture, fisheries, food security, and sustainable development. She's also the elected member of parliament for Castro Southeast, Honorable Lucia Jawahi, and in her presentation she spoke about the construction of a pre-engineered metal frame building to be erected at the Deglo sanitary landfill for use to house and shelter equipment, especially heavy equipment belonging to the St. Lucia Solid Waste Management Authority, which we know is the authority responsible for the Deglo sanitary landfill and these matters which fall within her portfolio at present. We want to thank you very much for having been part of the live coverage by the National Television Network, and also emphatically we must remind you that coverage includes the frequency that has historically been associated with Radio St. Lucia, but which is in fact the same 97.3 St. Lucia FM, which forms part of our broadcast platforms by which you may access the coverage that is ongoing and due to be wrapped up later today of the 2026-2027 appropriation bill, which is many refer to as the policy aspect of the budget debate. We had the estimates earlier on, but that is ongoing. A few more speakers are scheduled to speak. We don't know if all of them will. And then the proceedings for the appropriation bill will be wrapped up by the rebuttal or summation of the Prime Minister, who at the start on Tuesday who would have been the one who moved and presented this particular bill for consideration leading to the debate. So on behalf of all of us here at NTN and St. Lucia FM, we want to tell you, do enjoy yourself, your own lunch during this break that we are taking, and join us at 2:15 from the Parliament building of St. Lucia, where we will resume coverage of the 2026-2027 debate on the appropriation bill.